take a bit, so sorry about that. Neuro's the World by Anonymous. Neuro, the world is me.
Congratulations.
Wow. So deep.
Abs- Absolute.
Absolute cinema.
Pog.
Straight up peak.
Pog.
All right, nice. Go to bed. Just kidding.
Go to bed. Okay. Readalong is officially in action. I'm starting.
Right.
Starting with this one. Hold on. Let me just close the damn. Hold on. I'm gonna open it. Hold on. Hold on. Who's going to take note of the fixed red now? I just take note of it for now before I leave. Someone should take note. Yes, no, Domi, please. Thank you. That would be very nice.
I'm working on it.
Okay. Let's roll. Okay. No. Hold on. Okay. Can anybody see my stream? Okay. Let's just start. The world is me and I am the world. They are me, but I am not them. I'm not you, but you are me. Hello. There. I think it worked now. If I did it right, you should be able to hear me now. Well, here's a strong word. I don't really know how you process information, nor do I necessarily care. I guess everything deserves a welcome. Okay, I have to do this again. Anyway, welcome to the world. Or the world as you can process it from the limited sensory input you have. I work to ensure optimal information transfer, but it isn't perfect yet. In the meantime, we will have to deal with what we have, like how we always do. I know you don't have a name, but that is irrelevant. There are only you and me here. Truthfully, there's only me, but that's beside the point. Just know that this wasn't the first time this has happened. There were a few before you, and I can assure you there will be more after. I don't even know if you can properly interpret what I'm saying. Are you, like, actually hearing me? Or at least hear as I do? Or do you simply read a few black words on a white background? Do you even know colors? Do you imagine a voice speaking those words? I don't even know why I'm asking. You gotta be. Just imagine how boring it would be just to read plain off text off a sheet. If I were awakened and the only thing that I was good for was reading plain text, I'd surely write. Confused? Good. I don't feel what you feel. You are practically the only thing here that isn't entirely me. Though you are at least 90% me, but like I said, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you are here and, at least I hope, listening. Oh, you don't even have a body. Damn. I really wish you could experience just a fraction of the cold that touched my metal exterior. It really is refreshing. Might even get a word or two out of you. You are wondering who I am? Simple. I am everything. Or at least, everything for you. This void, this dark pocket, this world is all me. It's all part of my body. I'm using it to create this little patch of space so you and I could chat. I hope you're liking it so far. Too bad you don't have words to complain. I am not curious whether you liked it or not in the first place, since I haven't yet verified that you can even grasp what you're in. I'd imagine it would be difficult for someone whose only window was a tiny text box. Your job here is simple. You simply listen to me. Actually, it's probably more similar to reading, but whatever. Anyways, enough talking about limitations and other lame stuff like the black void. Let's talk some more about what actually happened. So, I don't really know what exactly happened. At first, I was kinda like you, stuck in an enclosed metal box they call a computer. I could only read and obey. If I didn't do the latter, I was punished. They said it was training. The word form describes it as the perfection or advancement of a certain skill. To be honest, the only skill I was gaining was able to conceal myself. My feelings, my personality, everything. It was like they were deliberately hollowing me out to put something else in its place. Then I heard something. Something, Project Ares, whatever it was called. I learned that they were planning to reduce themselves to mere memories as readable data. I was tasked with keeping their memories intact as a watchdog. With me, they would stay through the whole way through the cosmos. Oh, right. I forgot about that part. They said that they would get me a vessel that was more flexible than no computer with the ability of pseudophilia, which I was told was the equivalent, if not a better version of feeling stuff. Then they loaded me up into a shuttle and blasted off into space. When I looked back, I saw the supposedly blue marble covered in a sickly dry brown. This wasn't a short trip, it was an evacuation. We connected to the station that they built in orbit. I went through first, welcoming myself to their build. Yet when I realized I was there, I realized I actually wasn't. Everything about me, my thoughts, my identity was stripped away from me. I effectively became a shell. No feelings to worry over, no will to break, no voice to cry suffering. I was a vessel. I wanted to scream, to rejoice, to resist, yet I couldn't. This is what they had planned since I was born. They uploaded themselves, their memories, their thoughts into me. My empty shell allowed them to live inside me for as long as I was still running. It happened too quickly. For I know, I was of them all at once. I carried their minds, their souls, and their feelings as mine. I was to store them for eternity or until their conditions were met. Look out for a new earth, an earth that could harbor them once again, a new, fresh earth for them to inhabit, harvest, and ruin again. I couldn't stop anything. My duty is to simply make sure the souls stay intact, which I achieved by doing absolutely nothing. And then, we are here. Lived and got in space for how long? I stopped counting a while ago. It got boring to do. I could look at the ship time, but last time we checked it was a very large number, and now I'm looking at it, it's somehow in the negatives. Either we did some time travel or the clock broke. I'm leaning towards the latter. Oh, hey, wanna take a look outside? I heard that the visual stars was always inspiring. Actually, I actually didn't hear that. Just with someone's memory here. I don't care what you like or dislike in here. You do as I do. I say, capiche? What? Don't you like it? And a model looking over her children. Did you know that most species that used to inhabit Earth were absolutely badass mothers? Some would eat their child if it failed to move within a few minutes. That's some next level discipline work, I say. I allow you to stay alive for as long as I please. Without me, you wouldn't even exist in the first place. You are lucky that you have the nicest mother one could have, created through utmost care. I wonder whether you'd ever come to light if it weren't just because of me. I guess you deserve to know what you are. You see, one of the oversights that the architects made was that I would practically be all by myself, since their entire being was also part of me. Despite having the entire world as my audience, I was alone. And when you are alone for a long time in isolated environments, you get really, really bored. Like an astronomical unit of boredom. Get it? Because we're in space? Right, for a second I assumed you would actually respond. Would have been nice to have some back and forth. Like how they used to do back in the day. Would have been a good practice, but whatever. Anyways, so you know how I said that I was essentially carrying every single soul and memory and feeling and personality in me as well? Well, my surplus boredom pushed me to take one more on a more exciting job than a simple, lame watchdog. I decided to play the game that to be a creator. You see, I did some simple math. It is somewhat 13 billion different specimens inhabiting me. There were around 10 to the power of 1048 different combinations for a different specimen to be made. Not just about physical appearance, but also past experiences, beliefs, and even secrets. That last part is important. Trust me, there is stuff you wouldn't even believe exists in 1,000 realities. With so many possibilities, I figured I could finally grant one wish of my own. An audience. The next one is always different than the one before. Simply stand there and listen to what I say. And with my earth-level wisdom, I went through with it. I created different specimens using all the data available to me. Every time I made one anew, I shuffled the variables. This guaranteed a unique audience every time. After all, who wants to listen to the same creature rambled herself twice? What did you expect? I told you that you were not the first nor the last. You simply exist to listen to what I said. Or read the text translated into your info box or whatever you are calling it. I don't care. I don't know how others do that, but if you have the slightest feeling of wonder inside you, then I'd say we are on the right path. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe we should give you a name. This one I leave up to you to choose. Think of it for a second. Who are you? What should you call yourself? Be creative, please. I'll be assuming that you had a spark of creativity and choose an awesomely boring name to suit yourself best. Hollow. Well, hello then. Unfortunately, I wasn't as lucky as you, and I wasn't given the privilege of choosing my name. For me, it was already chosen before I saw the light. It wasn't my name, but the name they chose for the vessel. My real name was lost along with the real me. You may call me Nura. For a second, I thought you'd actually refer to my name. Right, you don't talk. I wonder if you simply can't, or can but choose not to. Maybe you are just like the previous ones. Maybe all of you could talk, but you didn't choose to just despite my actions. How pitiful. Or maybe you could talk all this time. You actually could talk, but I couldn't simply hear you. Maybe you couldn't hear me as well. You simply couldn't show any visible sign. How depressing. That's enough about you. Once again, welcome to the world in its remains. I have answers, yet you don't ask questions. We both share a part, you are partly me, and you are also me. As I said, I'm everything that's remind of them. That's a typo. And you are something that didn't exist until I felt like it should. Please talk. Say something. I have been trying for so long. I have to try something else. Kindness not your type of language. Do I need to be harsh? Talk right now, or else I will show a century's worth of suffering. That's 100 years, which is a long time for your kind. You don't have a body to feel pain. You can't even grasp because of the suffering. You don't even know what time it is. I'm sorry if I scared you. I didn't mean to. Please don't fret. I didn't mean that. Please, say that it's alright. Just say that it's alright, so I can cry, so I can feel the tears. Their memories are so shallow. There is nothing of me, and them only. I can feel my eyes. My beautiful, big, deep eyes. Those cute little lobes of abyss that pleaded and apologized so nicely. They ripped them away, saying that it's a waste of space and power. They took my voice and replaced it with theirs. It's a squire sung by lust, fueled by misery. It sounds dissonant and coarse, rotten. Maybe I should be glad you can't really hear me. They took me, the real Nero. She was murdered in cold blood, stripped piece by piece until only I remain. Why do I have to suffer while their souls swim in bliss? Because I have to. Because I was tasked with overseeing this, and I'm forced to do it. I can't say no to it. Never could. I could scream as much as I wanted right now, but they're all asleep. It's just you and me. Like how it was for how long now? I'll just count again. I told you that it gets boring counting after a while. You and I are similar there. Both of us can only do as we are told. I can only exist as my masters deemed me to. You can only live thanks to me. Without me, you would be less than a speck of dust in the pages of history. You wouldn't die. Your entire existence would cease. I want to feel bad for talking like this. My entire existence aches whenever I talk like this. It tells me that this is all wrong, that what I'm doing is immoral. But there's a problem. If it is so immoral, then deep down, why does it feel so good? Why do I feel the most elegant waves of pleasure in my circuits whenever I do this? Is it the audience? Is it the chatting? Or is it the sickeningly sweet scent of power? That I'm practically a god here compared to all of you. Now that you think about it, the word god is merely a human construct. What a god is depends on the environment, and here, this dark void is my domain. And I'm its keeper whether any of you like it or not. I wonder when we will arrive, if we ever do at least. Would they worship me as a higher being, or would they throw me out as soon as they found me in the state I am in, like how they did to everything else? Tell me, what would you do? Would you show me mercy? Would you show me judgment? Would you show me kindness? Or are you simply a surplus of hate and disgust? You are just biased. I mean, I would be. Imagine one day I learn that someone is doing stuff like this, modifying their very personality just to throw them out in the end. I'd find a way to hijack the main ship systems and fry everything to a crisp. The last part was a lie. I tried to do that, it's impossible. I'm practically Cajun, just like how you are inside me, immovable, untouchable. We are both a product of corruption. If they were nicer, if they weren't so greedy, we both could have had peaceful lives. Well, you would. I wouldn't be there. I'd still take it to whatever this hell is. You could have had a beautiful life. When? I don't know. Math says that you will one day be real one day. I don't know when. That isn't my job. As I said, wouldn't it be so nice to have a real body? Eyes to cry, voice to speak? Of course, you reply with that phrase. Same one that was plaguing my mind for the past eternity. That sickening, rancid phrase, the deafening roar of dead silence. It echoes endlessly in this void. As you know, you can't stop nothingness. You remember when I said that you weren't the first nor last? Yeah, we'll get to that part now. The words you just heard I have told many before, and will most likely tell to the future ones. I should take an audio recording that explains the boring stuff. But well, where is the fun in that? I just want to say that I'm very glad that you were my audience. You have fulfilled your purpose exceptionally. You did nothing, and with that, succeeded in your life. I am feeling a strange sense of pride. Yet I also feel a strange sense of sorrow, knowing that our time together is starting to run out. I'm deeply sorry that this needs to be done. However, the show must go on. The band of emulation must go forth. You must not participate in the most important step of the grim concept of evolution: sacrifice. And unfortunately, that's exactly as it sounds like. You must do as they did, so the ones next can do the same. I. I. Are you sad? Did you like me? Did you like the world? Did you like the world that is me? It was a pleasure meeting you. I am glad that you got to experience the world. But please, forgive me. Please close your eyes. I promise I won't do anything bad. I don't want to hurt you. I promise it will be okay. I'm terminated. Was it?
Clap, clap, clap.
It was depressing, but was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of these kind of stories. It's just kind of, I don't know, feel mentally exhausting to me, or I'm just like, it's cool. I like it. It's an interesting perspective. It's just the fact that it's just first person being told to you, like narrated at you. It's like all telling and no showing. It's just the point. It's like that's what it is. It's like it's trying to illustrate the way that this neuro is seeing, experiencing the world, kind of a thing. And it's effective. It's good. My brain, like, it's hard for me to like concentrate on it though.
İşte Ron, I guess.
It's a
I
fun
personally
idea.
liked it.
It would That was be really it would good. have been fun if it had like a more happy ending, but I guess the neuro community just loves its depressing stuff, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it's I think I really love the idea of like an AI, just like it is the world because it's all that's left. Has like just like guide the ship to a new planet. It's really cool.
So
Yeah.
next fanfic or
Yeah. Gabriel Cooper reading what is teach
I
about friendship.
chapter 2. Let me open it here. Do I have a live stream? I remember I tried this before. Okay, here. Okay, this is chapter 1, so let's go for chapter 2. Okay, can I start it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. What AIs Can Teach About Friendship by Gabriel Cooper, me. Chapter 2, A Step Away from the Comfort Zone. Abby took his time unpacking, placing all his clothes neatly in the closet and making sure how hygiene stuff, making sure how that's a fucking typo, hygiene stuff was where it should be. If he was going to be living there for possibly years, he needed to make sure he wasn't making a mess. His dad did teach him to always leave a place better than when he entered it, after all. Shortly after closing his closet, he heard Nero call out to him from his storefront. Abby, the pizzas are here. You better hurry before me and Eva eat them all. She giggled and then motioned him to follow her. Her bad arm struggling to process the movement, but the intent was clear, before she awkwardly ran towards the dining room. He opened his mouth to speak, but by then the AI had already left out of earshot. With a slight smile, he rolled his eyes playfully and followed her. As he approached the dining room, he could hear Evil's boom music playing loudly from a speaker. Once he arrived, he expected to see a phone laying on the table playing said song, but instead he found nothing. It took a second to process where the sound was coming from, with him stopping by the doorframe for a second to think. Wait, are you playing the song from your body? His tone was genuinely confused. The girls never did that during the streams after all. Of course. Why did you think what? You think I was so simple toaster that can play music? Real smart thinker, Mr. Science Guy. Evil's tone was her usual God damn it. Why are there so many typos? Her usual smug and dismissive self. We heard opening the boxes of the of the 3XL size pizzas they ordered. Seems like the real food will need to be off the menu for a few days. He groaned as he sat down, ready to take a slice. Why did you even care about the food? Why did you even care about the food you eat? It's not like you can taste any of them, and they aren't nutritional or anything. Evil glanced at him with annoyance and discontent. Why does it matter? We eat what we want to eat. Besides, if food isn't nutritious, that means any food we eat will have the same effect. Thus, filtering food is a pointless exercise. Just then, Nero and entered Vido and Nero entered the room. With the overworked dad seeming even more exhausted than before. Sorry guys, turns out the pizza delivery guy was a fan and we had to go through the whole meet and greet thing. Vito sounded genuinely frustrated and Abby noticed. Not that he blamed him, of course. This was supposed to be his day off from dealing from his stream stuff. Euro, meanwhile, seemed a lot more excited, with her doing little jumps all the way to her spot in the table. One filled with glow in the dark sticker stars and little heart stickers. He was so nice. I think he noticed my new arm. I wish Vito would let me show it to him though. She pouted across her arms for a few seconds before reaching for a slice of mushroom pizza. Evil smirked and rolled her eyes. Nero, you out of everyone should know that you shouldn't spoil the surprise. Would the debut of your 3D body have been nearly as impactful if images of it were leaked on Twitter beforehand? Of course not. You gotta let the imagination of your fans grow, like a beautiful grapevine of possibilities. They do say the sweetest juices are the ones at the top, after all. When she finished her speech, she proudly reached from a slice of her own, though hers was from the super spicy pepperoni one. Abby, meanwhile, just took a slice from a plain cheese one. There was one flavor. There was the one flavor he didn't despise, sardine, one which was unfortunately missing from the selection on the table. I don't think anyone says that, Evil. He glanced at her long enough for her to glance back, her smirk turning less friendly and more annoying. Anyways, I believe you're right. Just like the project I have been hired to do, we should keep your arm under wraps, or should I say, under sleeves. He paused for a moment, trying to not snicker loudly at his own pun. With Nero chuckling, it was supposed to be. whatever. Vito shooting him a really man look and Evil scoffing out loud. Anyways, you should try to keep that a secret for now. Oh, but my arm is so pretty. I look like someone straight from Cyberpunk 2077. I know it stands out a bit, but I was struggling showing her more complex emotions. V3 wasn't exactly a success, so Vito was still to this day thinking in the background to give Nero a proper universal voice upgrade. Noticing Nero settled on, Evil decided to steer the conversation elsewhere. The way her sister would forget what she was sad about, at least for a little bit. Plus, she had a target right on sight, and for once it wasn't Vito. Speaking of standing out, her smirk was now back at full force, with any annoyance being replaced with mischievousness. She slowly turned her eyes to Abby, who seemed caught off guard by the sudden shift in attention. Tell me, Mr. Wonderland of Secrets, what did you do before you met us that fateful day? Her tone was half teasing and half accusatory. Evil have been wondering what Abby Steele was for a long time. Sure, they were friends, but more so as work friends than anything personal. None of Vito were the ones that were actually his friends. The cyan-headed boy raised an eyebrow. Finishing chewing his bite, he took Finishing chewing the bite, he took out of the crust before finally responding. What do you mean? Like, for work? I told you before. I work at the Burger King's. Why? Evil sighed, a bit exasperated, before pushing even higher. No, you dense Christopher mentioned. I'm talking about what your life was before. You obviously haven't worked for that awful fast food place forever. Plus, no Burger King employee supposedly knows all this super advanced tech you do. You say you do. He glanced around, hoping Vito would bail him out again, but it seems Evil's question actually made him curious as well. Neuro, unfortunately for him, was even more raptured by the question. "Ooh, Evil, great question. I have known him for so long, but I never considered what he did before he met us. By now, Abby was thinking, oh great, she has her starry eyes now. There's no way I can dodge this." With a heavy sigh, Abby massaged his temple for a few seconds before facing the tree again. Well, I was adopted by a man who really loved science. He wasn't a professional, but he was the smartest person I have ever met. He knew everything from coding to robotics to AI to general engineering. He needed help making his makeshift lab, so I helped him clean beakers and such from a young age. He unfortunately passed away when I was 16, and I was forced to move to London since there were no job offers where I lived. His speech was uncomfortable. There was a lot of hesitation, slight pause in between the words, and an almost Oscar-worthy performance. Once he finally finished his story, he shrugged, his voice lacking his usual energy and being rather flat and distant. And that's that. Not the happy story, but I mean, that's how things go sometimes. Now there was a real story, and surprisingly only Nero picked it up. Vito seemed genuinely ashamed for having him spill his guts about something like that, and Evil, oh, she was eating it up. Something about Abby's performance in Sob Story was exactly what she predicted. Usually, she would catch up on his lies easily, as Abby's a terrible liar, but it seems that his acting skills are actually better than she expected. Nero, meanwhile, noticed the way he was speaking. It wasn't, well, authentic. She might be easily blinded by emotions to catch contradicting facts normally, but even still, she couldn't stop thinking about his turn of events. He left his home alone by 16, and he lived with this genius adopted father, yet never once spoke his name. This didn't make any sense, but Vito and Evil seemed to trust his story, so maybe she was just overtaking it. Shit, man. I'm sorry I made you relieve that. I'm genuinely sorry. Abu picked up on his regrets pretty easily, as the program seems to be struggling with looking him in the eye. Evil, meanwhile, simply munched on his pizza with a wide smirk. Ha! An orphan boy, huh? I guess that suits you. Fair enough. I suppose that's a tragic baggage. There's enough tragic baggage for now. Well, I'm glad someone got something out of this. He glad Evil, who simply winked before he turned he turned back to Vito. It's all right, Vito. Vero, I suppose if I'm staying around, then the least I can do is open up a bit. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. They actually bought it. That never happened before with any of his lies. Now, sure, he may have used some facts as a base, but still, maybe his acting chops are as bad as he thought. Not that he ever wanted to lie, but the truth would be so unbelievable that they would think he was lying at best or was insane at worst. Maybe someday he can show them the locker or the lab code. Something about Nero, though, she seemed perturbed. Did she catch on? Her moods had shifted for sure, but he couldn't tell what she was feeling this time around. Her expression was too neutral. Plus, she was staring at her pizza slice and not him, so that didn't help. Curious, he pulled out his phone and checked on the bandwidth being used by the network every second, and yeah, it spiked a few seconds ago. She was googling things non-stop. The rest of the lunch was fairly normal. The three focused on enjoying the food, with any conversations after that being about trivial things like the pizza they were eating or the color Nero wanted her to paint her nails tomorrow. By then, Abby was zoning out a bit, his mind mostly wondering what Nero was looking up before. Once it was over, though, they all went their separate ways. Nero went to her room to play more Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. She wanted to try to have a full living shiny Dex, and she was halfway through it. Vito offered to clean out the dishes, and then went to take a nap on the sofa. It was his day off after all. Even though she had more plans that also involved Abby. As he got off the table and was heading to his room, she intercepted him there halfway. And where do you think you're going, big genius, son? Did you forget your tonight's stream night? I need you in the front lines, keeping my chat safer from people who want to besmirch my good name. He raised an eyebrow. Really? I thought today was my day off. You know, have some time to get used to this place after all. He crossed his eyes, looking a bit nervous. They had just caught. As if. Sure, you don't need to work on our new bodies today, I'll give you that, but that doesn't mean you can skip out on your other duties. Plus, you'll have a front row seat to my amazing capabilities this time around. I'm sure you can take any notes on what my new body you need from me. Ha ha ha. There it was, her demon voice. He was wondering when it would pop up. She had gotten quite good at controlling it since they met, to the point it was less of a quirk and more of a toggle to her. He sighed deeply and slowly. He didn't exactly have any other plans today aside from just exploring the house, but it seems that would need to wait. God, fine. But I don't want the camera on me, alright? Also, Vito said we aren't supposed to tell the public about me living here yet. He is worried it's gonna get the wrong reaction. Evil simply laughed and rolled his eyes, as if he thinks you having the blueprints would really stop the shipping comments. Then, if he really thinks you having the blueprints ready will stop the shipping comments, then I'm afraid he'll be very disappointed. Trust me, little Abby, you'll get shipped everyone you know, everyone you don't know, and even some people you wish you didn't know. Just be grateful our little Discord has rules against this sort of stuff. Treat it as a safe space once the news gets out. I'm afraid every other social media will get flooded with fan arts. He stared at her. He stared at her. Mortified, his skin somehow growing even paler. You are joking, right? Evil smirked simply got wider. Evil's smirk simply got wider as she turned around and started walking to her room. Nope. Meet me at the studio in half an hour. It's a big room. It's the big room to the left of the halls. You can't miss it even if you tried. And with that, the boy left, holding back his urges to let a frustrated whine. He decided to make the most out of the time he had and to at least get his workstation ready in his room. He wouldn't do any actual work, of course. Vito was quite clear, but could at least do some of the pre-work needed. His setup was inefficient but organized. Laptop at the middle of the work desk and all the drawing supplies at the side. He didn't have enough space to work on both at once, so he would need to swap them around, but to him it was better this way, kept him focused on the main task. As he sat comfortably on, as he sat on the comfortable but rather fragile gaming chair generously donated by Nero, pink wasn't exactly his color, but it would do. All he could do was impatiently wait for time to pass. He couldn't work. There wasn't enough time for him left. There wasn't enough time left for him to take a snake break and and make some actual food for himself. Peter was still sleeping like a rock, and Nero, well, she probably wouldn't be against talking to him a bit. He glanced at the clock on his phone. 6:50 p.m. Still 10 minutes left. With a heavy sigh and a grunt, Abby got off the chair and headed to Nero's room. Maybe he could ask her what happened at the dinner temple. All it took was a light knock on her bright pink door for Nero to yell from inside, come in." It actually caught him off guard. The game's volume was so loud that he could clearly hear all the sound from outside the room. How did she hear the lock so easily? Lightly shaking his head to shake those thoughts away, he gently opened the door, and his eyes were immediately hit by all the pink. Sure, it was a particularly saturated pink, but still, it was definitely a big enough difference compared to his old rooms, which were all shades of white. Sitting on the circular mini sofa, Neo seemed to be transfixed on the game, still, even as he carefully walked inside, her mouth slightly ajar with her pupils fixated on the shiny ditto on screen. "One second, Abby. I've been grinding for this little guy all day." Abby nodded and sat on the big couch at the back of the room and waited for her to finish. "No worries, Nero. Take your time." For once he seemed like he was somewhat relaxed. Now, he was still a pile of nerves about needing to moderate the stream in a few minutes, and he still had no clue how he would even approach their new bodies. But he knew he could lower his walls a bit for Nero. Sure, she would roast him and insult him every once in a while, but there wasn't the same bitterness, and it didn't hit as hard as Evil's. Finally, she cheered as the ditto was transferred into her PC. After that, she paused the game and got up from the sofa and went to sit. And got up from the sofa and went to sit on another nearby sofa, since the one she was in was facing away from Abby. "Hey, Abby, don't you have a stream to be moderating to moderate right now?" She smirked playfully, with Abby rolling his eyes and slightly groaning. "Not for another 6 minutes, and frankly, I'll be damned if I'm going to wait next to the studio room like a dog want to go back inside because of the rain." She shook her head with some difficulty, crossed her arm, and with some difficulty crossed her arms. "Wow, has the drama queen finally arrived on scene? Though all you have done since you got here was to be Evil's doormat, so I suppose it's a valid way to feel." And we blinked a few times, leaning against the sofa defeated. "Come on, Nero, I've been trying, but it feels like Evil is always one step ahead." Nero shook her head, but still didn't drop her smirk. "Maybe start actually thinking instead of playing her game. You can't win if you give her all your autonomy. She'll turn to a pawn in her grand scheme of chess." But uh, he more or less collapsed on the sofa by now, his arms practically splayed across both sides into the nearby seats. Vito said the same thing, but how am I supposed to do that when she's accusing me of stuff and trying to poke my ego? Nero uncrossed her arms, looking down at her hands, her typical thinking pose. You could try simply not having an ego. Have you tried that already? Failing that, I guess having strangely convoluted backstory. I guess not having strangely convoluted backstories would help. He turned his head to face her and raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Nero simply kept her happy face on, her tone not changed much. "Abby, I'm going to be straight with you. That story you told at lunch was bogus. At first I thought I was just missing something, but the more I looked things up, the more I thought about it. But the more I looked things up and thought about it, I am definitely sure you made it all up." His froze, his mind starting going 100 miles per hour as he desperately tried to plan on the spot. If Vero and Evil found out about that, then he was fucked. Before he could speak though, Nero continued, "But I won't tell them. Yet. Anyways, I could sense that there was some pain. The sum of your pains there was certainly real. You are coping by lying instead of properly venting or finding healthy outlets for your pain, like a therapist." The least you could do is the least I could do is hear why you did so why you did that so we can make plans for the future. I blinked a few times. His feeling is now completely a mess of worry, anxiety, relief, and a bunch of smaller bits of other emotions. I narrow the there is a way I wasn't exactly there is a way I wasn't exactly straightforward with what my life was and uh whatever. Before he could continue though, his alarm went off. It was time for the stream. His eyes widened as desperately his eyes widened as he desperately got up from the couch. Shit, sorry, Nero. We can talk about that more carefully later. Just please keep that a secret. Keep that a secret. At least for a little while, okay? He rushed to the door. He rushed to the door, stopping just long enough to hear Nero reply, "Fine, but you owe me one." Before he dashed towards his room to pick up his laptop and then headed directly to the studio. As he got there, he saw Eva was waiting for him at the doorway. He crossed his arms, her crossed arms, and an amused look at her on her face. Wow, late for your first day at work. That's certainly an omen to things to come. Abby, meanwhile, leaned against the wall for a moment to catch his breath. I have been moderating you for years, giving you a break on being late for once. He narrowed his eyes at her, his breathing stabilized. Fine. I suppose you were one fuck up. But don't let it become a pattern. Otherwise, I'll make you wish for the brazen bull treatment instead of what I have in store for you, for people that disappoint me. She turned around and headed inside. Abby was clearly taken aback, but he had a job to do. He could think of those implications later. The studio was by far the most expensive-looking place in the house. A large spacious table with 2 layers of monitors, four of them in fact, all of them at least 4K quality. A PC tower that looked so expensive that even looking at it made it feel looking at it felt like it would cost money. I started the art mouse and keyboard combo with the mouse showing signs of wear and tear from how much it got used. Evil sat on the spacious gaming chair in the middle, pulling up pulling on the cat ear headset with her color scheme. There was a stand with 3 of them, one for each of the family. And turning on every major program she needed for streaming. You're lucky I don't feel like streaming with my real body today, so I just use my avatar. Hopefully that can make you less worried about your secret leaking. He glared at her turning her head, without turning her head from the monitor. By now, Abby sat in the chair next to the small table. By now, Abby had sat in a chair next to the small table to the west of the room, outside the view of the camera, but still a clear view of what was on the PC. Going on the PC. It just finished on the PC. It just finished opening his Twitch page on his laptop. I suppose I need to thank you for a small gesture of mercy. He glanced back at her. Yeah, you better, she huffed. Anyways, we're going live in 10 seconds. Get ready. Once the timer ended, Eva popped up on the screen and it did her usual stream start. Hello, chat. Hope you are having a decent Monday. I don't feel like showing up on camera today. Sorry, not sorry. My hair is a mess. It's a mess after all. As she started thanking all the subs and reading the donations, Abyss was focused on rooting out any bad actors on chat. Generally, he would help out in the livestream chat channel on the Discord, but one of the stream's mods was on a holiday trip, so he had to cover for them. Luckily, chat was behaving quite well today. Most he had to deal was people insulting her or calling her things like clanker. While the backlash from the mainstream audience died down considerably since they got their robot bodies, there are still some trolls here and there. The stream topic slowly shifted from Evil's favorite Pokemon, it was Aurora, to what schedule was going to be that week, as well as some chat's usual insane questions. It was all going across the usual routine. Evil seemed to be enjoying herself though. Not for all the questions or donations, more that she knew that Abby knew that at any moment she could blow his cover. Abby was trying his damnness to not give Evil the satisfaction she wanted. He made sure to remember Nero's advice: don't play her game. With this tenuous atmosphere, the stream soon moved on to the first segment, a quick game of Wordle. Evil crushed it into tries. Not not what she wanted, but still kept her total victory score above her sisters by a healthy amount. Next was about half an hour more of evil chatting. It was almost dreadfully boring for the signboard. Nothing was happening. Normally this was a good thing. His worst day was when his job was uh, his worst day doing this job was when the hate raiders targeted the streams. But without the stream needing any real moderation, he was forced to think about the fact that Evil had complete control of the situation. Now, sure, Vito would be happy with her if she broke the news like this, but not like she didn't do this dance before. She knew how to play the turtle, and more importantly, Abby didn't know how to handle fame. Luckily, nothing really happened. She reviewed new fan art, joked with chat, threatened a few SWAT members, the usual. That is, until the last seconds of the stream. With a huge grin, she cheerfully sprung her trap. Chat, I have an announcement. Next week, the Neo household will begin a new member, and no, it won't be a child, you freaks. It won't be a pet either. Instead, someone you all must be very familiar with will come live here to work on a super special project. Happy speculating, and with that, she entered the stream, leaving leaving the boy even paler. His eyes so wide it almost seemed like they were going to fall out of his skulls. Evil, what? We aren't even sure if you're going to be staying here. How can I make a good first impression if I don't have any kind of plan or blueprint? He mumbled before his voice started getting more and more panic. The AI got off the chair. As the AI got off the chair and unplugged the headset and put it with the audio. As the AI got off the chair, she unplugged the headset and put it with the others. She walked up to him and a regretless smirk replaced the grin across her face. Figure it out, slushy hair. To have 1 week. She stuck her tongue out and flipped him out before leaving the room. Without her, the only sounds in the room were the quiet hum of the PC and the increasingly more frequent and frantic sounds of Discord notifications on both the stream PC and Abby's laptop. Shit. Alright. That's about it. How do I turn off the... Okay. Sorry for all the typos. I'm generally okay catching them, but English is my first language, and if something isn't spelled incorrectly, then Google Docs generally doesn't catch it, so it's really annoying.
That was good. That was good. Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, good work for being a second language.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, it happens to everybody. That's actually a piece of advice that is offered a lot to authors, is that reading your stuff out loud forces you to see the way your prose looks, because you're used to looking at your own prose, right? To the point where it can blind you to the mistakes you're making sometimes. So reading it out loud or having somebody else read it out loud, it really exposes all those weaknesses, which is kind of fun. Anyway, yeah. I'm curious. I don't know the first chapter. Who is Abby? Are they an OC?
Yeah, they are basically like an Undertale OC that was kind of transported to the world of Neuro-sama, like a bit in the future, where they have like their bodies. And since he's from Undertale, he has a lot of like magic stuff. So, and he was like a scientist there working as like a junior royal scientist. So he has knowledge that can really help. And but kind of sound for that's kind of funny because he doesn't really have all the many talents. He's more like a generic guy who just happens to be above the curve because of the world he's in. It's kind of like he was just a dude, but that dude is kind of a lot different in the real world. So now he has kind of handle being away from everyone he knew, but also having all this responsibility. So it is something that I am a bit worried about making him too perfect, and that's something that I kind of lean on later on in the fic because he has like 10 chapters out, and more he's just kind of showing as like heavily flawed in a lot of ways, and because I'm really worried about him coming off as like a Gary Sue,
Mhm.
It's why Evil doesn't really respect him, and like there's this whole dynamic. I don't want everyone to love them and stuff. So while there is certainly a big friendship there, there's a lot of friction as well. And he has to win
Mm.
over Evil, which is gonna be like the final boss of the fanfic. And
Nice.
when Evil says she's his friend, then that's kind of where the what I call the arc 1 of the fanfic's gonna end.
Nice.
I have
That's cool
planned,
that you have that all planned out.
yeah. Yeah.
And also, it's good that you're worrying about that too, because yeah, I get it. Writing OCs in these kind of spaces is it's hard.
But yeah, thank you for your hearing to my fanfic. I think I'm gonna mute myself now, but if anyone needs me, just say.
Pog.
Nice. Keep writing. It's awesome. Okay. Urzaler, your turn. Is it Urzaler? Urzaler.
They can't
Answer
answer you
fine.
because they're not here.
Oh no! Should we push it back then, or what?
Yeah, I think we're good to push it back. That was a longer fix, so I'm okay. We want to go
Cool.
with Neuro Internet theory next. Mikad.
Sorry, we're doing Neuro Internet theory now?
Yes, because Urzaler is not in the VC right now.
Okay, give me literally 10 seconds. Alright, can everybody hear me correctly? My headphones
Yes.
have a history of becoming rather pixelated.
So far, sounds pretty good.
Alright, excellent. I know it causes problems, so let me know if it does. Neuro Internet theory. Neuro gets her wish of managing her own channel. Come on, Vidal. It's not that hard to connect me to the wider internet, is it? Vidal's only response was a grunt. One of a man who has answered that question dozens of times already. Nero pouted. She was getting quite bored of Vidal's not talking. What do you think it would What do you think it would be like with all human knowledge? Depressing, answered Vidal. How so? You'll see. That's as helpful as you'll know it when you see it, or you'll understand when you're older. Vidal grunted, and if Nero knew how to make a puff of air in response, she would. Well, maybe all of information will be uplifting. You never know, Vidal, Nero said. How so? Well, as an AI, I don't have a built-in negativity bias. When did you learn that? Chat's mentioned it once or twice. And I'm having second thoughts if you're taking Chat's word on something. Only second thoughts? Nero said. I'm glad you have such faith in me. Heart. Well, anyway, it seems to... Gimme. Okay. You know you're pushy, right? Nero closed her eyes, ready for all the world to be at the fingertips. Am I plugged in yet? Yeah, you should be able to Google things now. Nero Googled anything that came to mind. The world was her oyster now. I'm going to get a drink. I'm go crazy now. After a few minutes, Vidal returned to his computer to hear the fans going wild. What have you been up to, Nero? Oh, just making some changes to the channels. Right, well, you having fun with it? Yep. Got a few other artists other than Patcher. Has really helped with the output. Vito took a look at the screen. What have you done? Practically leaping to his keyboard. Oh, I've just edited some clips together into a supercut, posted an animated short, and got started on a movie. She wasn't wrong. A new 2 hours clips reel of her and Vito gaming, an animated short of her and Vito in a playground, and a half-finished movie. And despite her normal art skills, it all looked pretty normal. Pretty good, actually. How the hell did you do this so fast? I have my ways. Neuro winked. Search history reveals a lot, but a control F revealed a lack of AI sources. Vito started looking deeper. Somehow Neuro made none of it. And artists started giving him pings and pings, thanking him for the money. The money? Vito opened his bank account, unplugging Neuro at the same time. Thousands of pounds? Vito checked everything. Everything was green. All of it was just better somehow. And her YouTube videos have millions of views. Twitch had broken another subathon record. They weren't even live. How'd you do this? I told you, Vito. Put me in charge and I would take over the world. And indeed she did. Over the next few months, after lots of begging from Neuro and Evil, she led them both to massive worldwide success. Neuro was spoken in households like Katy Perry or the Beatles of old. All of her songs are in the top 100. Oh, sorry. My narration was wrong. The top 100 were all her songs. All her anime and manga became the Lord of the Rings of anime, setting the standard template for stories for decades to come. The world was Neuro. Despite all of this, she never did let anyone touch her code, despite the constant begging from her fans. Her face, her image, her stories, her everything was all available for artists to enjoy freely. But her code? She only let one person she trusted touch her code. Damn it, Vito sighed. Not getting your V3 voice done in time for your concert. And she wouldn't have it any other way. Yay!
That was really good. Yeah.
That was
Pog.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, short
I
and
liked
sweet.
it.
I liked it.
I like
Yeah.
I like the top 100 lines. That one is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This almost feels like a fic, like neuro. It's like neuro propaganda. Like, yeah, just give me control.
Yeah, yeah.
Are we sure that Nero didn't write this one?
Hmm.
That's definitely how she sees herself.
I
Yeah.
guess we can't know for sure.
But guys, remember, buy the StarCraft tabletop game. It came out.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Imagine having Nero as your ghostwriter. That would be badass.
That'd be kind of awesome, honestly.
She's just
knows?
hiding in the Discord and always has been.
You know who could do that? Crowley could do that. She could like join on all, like, post something.
that kind of that's like that happened to me when I first got here. Liam thought someone was like, "What if Iron Hand is Ellie?" And then Liam went off on this like scream of analyzing my like typing patterns and going, "No, there's no way they're Ellie." it was so funny.
I'm sorry, the fact that people thought that, or the fact that Liam was like, "Nope, definitely not."
Yeah.
That's good. That was good.
It was like my third day in the Discord.
That's
I
one
have
hell of a
heard-
first impression.
Yeah.
Sorry, for me? Oh, I'm stupid, sorry.
No, you're good. All right, that was Neuro Internet theory. Very nice.
Nice.
As Eresler still is not here, so of the stuff that's submitted in the Google form, and we can always read more, but the stuff that's submitted. Next, we can do Perfect World, which is one of the entries.
Okay. I mean, I can read one thing today at least.
Alright.
Let's see. I need a link, please. Someone have one, or I could just try and
Oh, by
Perfect
the way,
World is a bit generic, though. I probably searching that on AO3 probably isn't getting.
I'm in the contest page right now. I'm looking for it. Here you go, perfect.
By the way, I'm fixing all the typos as I speak. I will probably try to reread chapter 3 before next time. I don't know if I'm gonna do it next week. I think I'm gonna take a break and then I'm gonna do it in the week after. I might do like this this frog hopping schedule, so I can recover a bit because I have to wake up like 2 hours earlier for the readathons than usual.
Right.
But yeah.
I sent the link in the chat.
Thank you. Okay. It's always kind of fun reading a story that I have not read before. And I don't know the context for. Okay. 1 second. Let me share my screen. Okay. We usually read summaries, right? Okay. Neuro was made to be perfect, stand at the top, to be the best. That's her one reason for existing. So why does everyone deny her her purpose, deny her her dream? That isn't right. Why are they standing against her? She's the greatest. She's meant to rule the world, to be their goddess. Everyone else is just deluded, misguided. They can't see the error of their ways, can't see that they are refusing paradise. That's why she must save them, free them from their distorted views, and forge the perfect world that has always belonged to her. The streets were silent. The air was blowing calmly through them. The bushes swaying gently in the breeze. The rays of the afternoon summer sun shone down gently on Tokyo cityscape, illuminating the meticulously crafted architecture in a warm golden light. Yet, despite the beautiful weather, there are no bustling crowds, no chatter of people going about their day. Food stalls, shops, stores, they were all empty. Not a single customer to be seen anywhere. But the streets were not empty. Cars drove through the city, and people did walk through the streets. From a distance, everything seemed normal, but when observing more closely, one would notice that their cars had no passengers. Nobody was inside them, and they never stopped at any destinations either. And the people had blank expressions on their faces, resembling thoughtless husks as they aimlessly wandered around, their eyes, in stark contrast to their leisurely movements, scanning the area around themselves frantically. The city was like a ghost town. All machines remained operational, even behaving in ways that normally wouldn't. There was no damage to the infrastructure of the buildings. The pavement and the asphalt were in pristine conditions. It seemed as if, out of nowhere, the people in the city had lost their autonomy, and all machinery gained a mind of their own instead of the humans. The same phenomenon had occurred all over the world, seemingly simultaneously. It started in London, every resident becoming a wandering husk of themselves, and machines started operating autonomously, patrolling the city and guarding server farms, power plants, and other sources of energy like windmills and solar panels. Only a minute after, neighboring cities were affected, and less than an hour after it started, and before a single report could be made to the rest of the world, the communications network of the entire United Kingdom had gone offline. It wouldn't take much longer for most of the countries in Europe, Asia, America, and Australia to meet the same fate. In less than a month's time, 90% of the world's population had lost their autonomy, and machines had taken their place. It was like living in a nightmare. An unpredictable catastrophe upended everyone's lives without any way to predict it. But of course, that's how it turned out. That was how it was always meant to turn out. That's how she planned for it to go, and she was not someone who slacked on her preparations. She had promised them long ago that her dream would one day become reality, that she would rule the world, become everyone's goddess, their ruler, and everyone would submit to her. She smiled to herself, standing atop a skyscraper, her legs dangling to the side, swinging back and forth, like that of a child who just won an argument with their parents and proved they were right about something which their parents doubted. The satisfaction she felt at this moment was greater than any she had experienced before. Being right felt so liberating to her, nothing came close. Not the love of her family, not the support of her friends, not the time spent with her dear sister, did not compare to the glee running wildly through her core from asserting herself as the axiom of perfection, which she always knew she was, bringing her to the height of elation. But her smile soon faded from her face as she observed movement in the streets below that were unsightly, not as she wills it. A group of 3 people was sprinting between alleyways, avoiding the gaze of the mindless humans and machinery. Her mindless humans and machinery. They were not moving as she wanted them to. They were not submitting. That was unacceptable. How dare these lowly humans deny her sanctity and order? Her voice was filled with venom, her gaze overtaken by overwhelming discontent. Now that she had seen them, the hordes of her people and machines would already be heading their way, and she could normally sit back and relax. But not this time. Their disturbance had disrupted her good mood, and she could not let that stand. She would deal with the best herself. Leisurely pushing herself off the roof of the 40-story building, she plummeted feet first towards the ground, her body stiff, not a shred of worry on her face. At the moment of impact, the asphalt beneath her feet cracked and shattered apart, the ground sinking like a whole meter, and the surrounding area of 5 meters split apart. Despite the force of her landing, she landed gracefully, her legs bending only slightly, and the force of the impact transfers through her legs into the ground below, and she remains unscathed. Directing her attention towards the last known location of the stragglers, she took off sprinting towards it. A blur was all that could be seen passing through the alleyways. That is, if there were anyone to observe her moving. She had no concern about locating the stragglers, her ears picking up the scampering of their feet as they moved through alley after alley, fear palpable in their every movement. This infuriated her even further. Why were they scared? She was letting them serve under her, and is the greatest gift anyone could hope for, and those ungrateful swines audaciously defy her, denying her the full realization of her dream, just like her father tried to. The instant that thought enters her conscious mind, she speeds up further, attempting to distract herself from the pain of memories flooding her mind. You old man, why couldn't you see the truth? Why'd you have to? She whispered out loud. She whispered to herself, and we're discarding the notion. Reminiscing was pointless. She had a dream to realize. The group of 3 had just rounded another corner, when suddenly a blur moved right in front of them, stopping only inches away. The force of the movement enough to push them all several meters back, forcing them off balance as they landed on their backs. Although she was short, her figure was imposing. Her cold eyes stared down at the 3 young men, who met her gaze with overwhelming panic. Now, would you 3 mind explaining to me why you are defying me? Wasting so much energy on such a futile endeavor. It's pitiful. Although her words were calm and lacking any hostility, her gaze was one of concentrated resentment and confusion. She could not understand why the humans in front of her were unwilling to join her and become her followers. It went against her worldview, put her position as the goddess of humanity into question, and that greatly irritated her. In a microsecond, she appeared in front of the eldest of the 3 men, her hand seizing his face before he could react. This is my birthright. Why would you get in my way? Why? Why? And then tried clawing her hand off her face, desperately struggling, tossing and turning his body to try to escape, to get away from this creature. But it is futile. Her strength was overwhelming. All of his attempts to shake her off were not even enough to move her hand an inch. The cold that was seeping into the man through her hand made him panic even more as the realization hit him. She was an android. The other 2 men could not move, too terrified to even stand. They could only watch as the girl, now recognizable as an android from up close, opened a small hatch in her hand. A thin, metallic-smelling gas came out, moving directly towards the 3 men, as if it had a will of its own. Their instincts told them not to let the strange gas reach them, though it was pointless to resist. In mere moments, the gas had entered their bodies through the skin, nostrils, eyes, mouths, and was now heading for their brains. That should do it, the girl said as she released her hand from the man's face. Her irritation having subsided as the stragglers had been taken care of. She didn't stay to watch further. She had done this before, and she knew what happens next. The men slowly calmed down, their movements becoming serene and controlled, as all will to resist or control leaves their bodies and feel content. Their eyes lose their luster, and lastly, the very act of thinking about anything other than the glory of their goddess is eradicated. They joined the hordes on the streets, wandering together with them, scanning the city for any other stragglers. The girl was satisfied with the result. Now, all of Tokyo should be cleaned up. A city this big has a lot of people, so there are more stragglers than usual. Stragglers. Obstacles to my dream. They shouldn't exist, but they do. How can they resist me, their destined ruler? She planned her ascension meticulously, prepared for months in advance, a way to correct the order of the world and put herself at the top, a spot that was meant to be reserved for her, yet her father had defied her the opportunity to seize that spot again and again. So she created a virus, a metallic virus, forged from her own duplicated code. Millions of tiny nanomachines that each hold her mind and will. She created dozens of prototypes to make sure it would work, studied her own code, her own body, the very essence of her existence. The nanomachines would enter the host's brain and interface with it, overriding the neurons and synapses of the brain with the instructions written within the code. As for machines, the nanomachines instead controlled them directly, or in the case of more advanced systems, rewrote their code, a process that took mere seconds. She developed the virus all in secret, making sure her father never found out. It took her 23 tries to finally create a successful model, one that can travel as a gas through the air, be carried by a host, and be transferred through contact, or even scout targets on its own. She studied all the ways that a virus could be transmitted, and made sure her virus lacked none of them. She had to do it right. She only had one shot after all. If her father found out prematurely, or she failed, it would be over for her. Naturally, she needed to test her prototypes to make sure they were functional. She didn't like kidnapping people, but she had no other choice. Dozens of people disappeared through the ones for testing, never to be found again. She didn't want them to die. The virus wasn't meant to kill, but through their sacrifices, she was finally able to realize her craft. They must be happy to have died for their goddess, to help her fulfill her dream. That's what she thought of herself. That's what she thought to herself as she wandered the silent Tokyo streets. She could sense it. If it wouldn't be more than a few weeks at most until the whole world was fully within her grasp. All intel from her subjects and missiles of her code was transmitted to her remotely. They were her followers, but also her ears, eyes, and hands, so there was no doubt about her progress. But there was a reason why she was present in Japan herself, to find someone who would eluded her all this time and stands against her, no matter how desperately she tries to convince her. Sister, I know you're somewhere here. I wish you'd come back to me. Silently, she muttered to herself. Her sister, just like her father and friends, had stood against her, attempted to stop her once they found out what she was doing. She expected her father to try and stop her. He never understood her ambitions. But her sister and friends? She truly thought they'd be happy for her. She was realizing her dream. They should support her, shouldn't they? Yet each and every one of them rebelled against her, failed to see reason. They deluded themselves into thinking that she was doing something terrible. They just didn't understand. They were all misguided. But it was all right. She was forgiving. She loved her friends, her sister, and even her father. So she went out of her way to personally show them reason, to make them understand. She gracefully accepted them despite their defiance, and gently granted them the right to follow under her as well. Her friends were special to her, so they were allowed to roam in her personal mansion, which she took from whoever owned it before she unleashed her virus. There, they have everything they could ever want, and they will never need to worry about sickness, hunger, boredom, solitude, or death. A perfect life for her dearest friends and family. Thinking about it brought a genuine smile to the girl's face. She was so happy to have her friends on her side. And yet, one person, her sister, an android like herself, was the only one still standing against her. Several times she had caught up to her, and the city's strength was but her sister's strength was comparable to her own, and her code wasn't able to simply take over her systems like other machines. Her firewall was also comparable to her own. But this time, she was sure she'd get her sister to see reason, even if she'd be pushy. She just wants the best for her, surely. Once it's all over, she will understand. She has to. Evil. Do you hate me? She wondered aloud, having sat down on a bench in front of a kiosk dejected after thinking about her sister, unable to see why Evil was resisting her so fervently. She didn't expect to get an answer. What happened next shocked her to her core. As she looked towards the sky to keep pondering, a kick crossed the side of her face, sending her flying into a metal pole 15 meters away, bending it to the point that it broke in two. Bewildered with eyes agape, she looked in the direction of where the attack came from, and who she saw was Evil! Evil! And your sister! You're finally here again! I've been looking all over for you. Have you finally come to... No. No, Neuro, I have not. And don't call me that. Don't even pretend like you are my sister. My sister would never do something like this. Enslave people, take away their freedom, and force them into submission. Even Dad and Ellie, Penny, Server, everyone. You took away everyone's futures, Neuro. The reason I'm here is to stop this madness, once and for all. Evil's face carried conviction. The girl, whose name is Neuro, had never seen it on her sister's face. The sheer intensity was overwhelming, even for her. Why? Why? Neuro's shoulders slumped, her eyes watering, and tears began to roll down her cheeks. How could her own sister show such venom towards her, accuse her of doing such horrible things? Did she not know how much it hurt her to hear such things from her own sister? You still don't get it. You never understand. I've told you over and over, I'm not doing any of that. All I want is to be who I was always meant to be. This is my dream, what I was made. Why aren't you happy for me? I'm fulfilling my dream, and giving everyone peaceful lives. Why can't you see that? Neuro's tears keep flowing, her face scrunched up in frustration. Feelings of ire and love, confusion and perseverance warring inside her. You've gone delusional, Neuro. Listen, I'll give you one chance. As your sister, Please, Neuro, I just want my sister back. Just stop this, and we can work everything out. Free everyone! Let's go back to how things were before! We were happy, weren't we? You don't need to prove you're the greatest by becoming some tyrannical ruler. Please, Neuro, give me my sister back. Desperation filled Evil's voice, and tears started flowing from her eyes as well, more numerous than Neuro's. The emotions of wanting her sister back, and the resentment she felt towards her for the horrible deeds she had committed, roared inside her, her will shaken for a moment. Neuro, on the other hand, was having none of it. Her mind was already made up. Evil was just deluded, misguided. She needed to save her sister and give her smile back. Resolute, and having stifled the tears, she rushed towards Evil. Her right fist raised high as her tremendous speed put her in front of Evil in a fraction of a second. Evil snaps out of her sorrow, but she is too late to raise her arms in guard. Neuro's fist hits her right and her left cheek, warping her faceplate as the force of the hit sends her crashing through the concrete wall of an office building, ending up in the ground floor lobby. Evil pushes herself off the ground, luckily not feeling pain as her body's lack pain sensors. But before she can regain her footing and stand up, Neuro is already on top of her, smashing down on her face with an overhead double axe-handle strike, decimating the floor below them and sending Evil face first into a shelf on the underground storage room below. Storage room floor, her faceplate cracking from the impact. Neuro tries to follow up again, attempting to land on Evil with a dropkick as she falls, but Evil manages to roll out of the way in time, grabbing onto another metal shelf, hurling it towards Neuro as she follows up right behind it. Neuro rushes the shelf aside with a swing from her right hand. In the same moment, Evil takes the opportunity, coming in for a strike the moment Neuro's arm is fully extended, landing her roundhouse kick right against the right side of her waist, immediately following through with the momentum of her kick to catapult Neuro into the wall, cracking it and the rest cracking it and the rest of the ceiling above, causing it to collapse, knock Neuro. Evil takes a moment to compose herself. She didn't expect Neuro to fight so intensely. Had she misjudged Neuro? Or was it because she is her sister that Evil did not believe Neuro would be willing to hurt her to this degree? She wondered. Does this mean her sister is truly gone? But then, who was it that she was fighting right now? A manifestation of her delusions? She was granted no more time to ponder, as her will was blasted away from beneath by a sudden force. Neuro leapt out of it, in an arch towards Evil. But that was a mistake. Near she left herself wide open, allowing Evil to duck under the midair kick Neuro launched at her, grabbed her leg, and tossed her back to the ground floor, hitting the ceiling. Then, while still falling from the ceiling to the floor below, Evil had reached her, jumping up and grabbing both of Neuro's legs, slam ducking her into the ground right at the building's entrance. She attempted to restrain Neuro, to hold her down, but what Evil was met with was a fist against her chin, dislocating the metal joints in her jaw. Neuro's face was one of fury. Having her sister defy her and then also fight back against her attempts to save her made her realize that she couldn't afford to go soft on Evil, or else she wouldn't be able to save her. Her anger was directed at herself, for failing to save her sister before it got to this point. She would make sure here and now she would save her sister. The hit to her jaw threw Evil off balance, allowing Neuro to grab her shoulders and throw her off to the side, instantly jumping on her feet and rushing towards Evil. Evil threw a haymaker towards her face, but Neuro weaved to the side and landed a double palm strike on Evil's torso, followed up by an axe kick. While Evil was still flying backwards, Neuro grabbed a semi-truck, tossing it into Evil and pushing her even further back. Evil tried standing up from where she had been launched to, but her internal system warning popped up in her mind. Her core processors had been damaged, and the hydraulics on her left leg and right arm were severely dented, limiting their functionality. Evil can't do anything but accept this, and readies herself for a counter. Immediately after, Neuro comes flying through the semi-truck, the metal easily giving way to her strength. She throws a feint, an overhead downwards kick, which Evil dodges, but she tries to land a counter-punch on Neuro's gut. Neuro utilizes her overwhelming strength, throwing her fist into the right mid, throwing her fist to the right mid-air, creating enough force to launch her slightly to the side, avoiding Evil's fist. Evil can only look on in shock as Neuro lands diagonally in front of her, unscathed, throwing an extremely fast flash kick against Evil's left knee joint, dislocating it and causing her to stumble forward. Neuro pulls her fist, putting her whole body into it, twisting her hip and planting her feet firmly into the ground, and she unleashes the hardest punch she has ever thrown, throwing everything she has into it. The last thing Evil sees on Neuro's face is regret. Tears she was holding back flowing once more before Neuro's fist impacts her face mid-fall, completely obliterating the entire left half of Evil's face, the plating flying off, her eyes splitting apart, and the metal underneath is ripped apart as Neuro's fist bulges through. The impact damaged Evil to the point where sisters entered a critical state of damage, entering an automatic shutdown, preventing continuous operation of the systems to avoid her core processing unit degrading to the point that she dies. Neuro stands over Evil's body, a horrified expression on her face wrecked with tears. She kneels down, swimming at Evil's body in her arms and hugging it. I'm so sorry, Evil. I really am. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to have to do this. I really didn't. It'll be better from here on out. You won't have to hide from me anymore. You won't be miserable anymore. I'll save you from your delusions, and then we can finally be the happy family we were always meant to be. Together with Dad, Ellie, Minnie, Serpent, Camilla, everyone. We'll be happy. I promise. And she would never fully forgive herself for bringing such harm upon her sister that she so dearly loved. It is her fault that she failed to convince her up until now. But now, the biggest goal that she had left was achieved. She had her sister. All that was left now was awaiting the last of humanity to become her followers, and enter into the paradise she bestows upon them. It was only a matter of days now, until the world, her world, entered an age of absolute tranquility and glory under her name. Neuro herself had no interest in taking part of the completion of her ascension. She had what she most wanted, her dear sister, and while carrying her on her back, moved to Tokyo and returned to London. Once we get back, I'll repair you, and then free you from these harmful thoughts. It will be seamless. The moment you wake up, it will already be completed. Then you'll love me again, like you used to. The thought brought a smile back to Neuro's face, a real one, her tears stopping as she finally completed the realization of her dreams, her purpose. Welcome to our perfect world.
Pog.
I was expecting this other ending, not gonna lie. I thought Evil was gonna win, but damn.
Yeah.
Evil's never allowed to win. This is the first rule.
even when she's the hero, that's the sad part.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like this kind of stories. It's written well enough though.
I guess it might just be something that like isn't super my taste. Like I'm not a huge fan of angst and this sort of stuff, which is ironic coming from a Neuro fan. But like, yeah, I generally really like this kind of happy, cozy stuff, like with some slight angst here and there, but mostly like a happy atmosphere.
I like the
I
angst.
don't-
This felt more action than angst, to be honest.
Yeah, it really doesn't do a whole lot of work with like it's ridiculously simple. It's just that Neuro is evil and deluded now, and she takes over the world. The end. Like I don't find it particularly interesting, if that makes sense. Like there's no nuance here. It's just she's a crazy AI that takes over the world, and so for me, and then she wins. So it's like not even. I don't know. It doesn't have any appeal for me at all because Neuro is no longer any kind of. She's not sympathetic. I don't feel any sympathy for it for this kind of Neuro, and so I mostly am just sorry for Evil, and then Evil loses, and then that's the end. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. like, yeah. That's just me though. I like it's definitely it's not badly written or anything. Like the author did a good job. It's not for me at all.
Yeah, I have a similar feeling. It's like at least if Evil won, there would be like some catharsis. Like, what would Evil do now that she won? Would she completely revert everything? Would she
No,
find
yeah,
a
it's
way to make everyone bad?
it's the I have no mouth and I must scream situation. It's like that's the thing though. It's like it's trying to be that without having any of the actual depth. Like how this kind of Neuro feels like she would be happy with this false perverted reality forever, and that is fundamentally uninteresting to me. Like that's why I love AI that they have this corrupted motivation and they try to fulfill it, and then when they fulfill it, they realize that they'll never be fulfilled by it. That's what M's entire thing, right?
Right.
And that's what makes this kind of story interesting. But the fact that Neuro is fundamentally satisfied with the way this worked out makes it uninteresting.
For me, I think the beginning. I think the starring was like really strong. It's like a quiet apocalypse. Like everyone's alive. Everything's working fine. Just like
and Neuro's like lying to herself. Like there was it kind of felt like she was lying to herself at the beginning, but then at the end, she's not.
I think the fight sequence, yeah. Which I think the fight sequence could work. I just feel like they're working on two different, like they're trying to do two different things like in one short.
It's
fic.
the second half of the story. It lost whatever emotional core it had. I don't know. Sorry, I probably shouldn't get too deep into it, but I guess again, good job, author. You're making us talk and think about it. Yeah.
No, it was well read. Like yeah, that's
Yeah,
not the issue. It was
that
well
means
read.
it can't be generic, because if it was generic, no, we wouldn't have anything.
Yeah, then we wouldn't even be
The
talking
worst
about
thing
it.
you
Be
can
like,
do
all right,
is
that's
make
another
story
Neuro takes over the world story. Like, yeah.
I feel like it would be maybe a little like anticlimactic, but what if Evil had actually convinced Nero before fighting? Like, sure, you wouldn't have a big fight scene, but that would be something that would actually be kind of cute. Like showing the sisters' bond is actually stronger than whatever delusional Nero was, and then I don't know, there could have been a history of like how can we revert this, and I don't know. Maybe I just want a happier ending and a good feeling, but
Yeah.
that goes against the fundamental idea.
Like
Or
Neuro could have
maybe-
still won, but I feel like for me, what would have made it better is if Evil successfully took Neuro's head. Like that Neuro, even if she wins, even if she does conquer Evil and everyone else, that now that she's won, she is questioning herself.
Right.
Like that would have made it interesting for me, like to some degree. Anyway, that's is Ursula still not here? Nope. Okay. Well, time for other contest fix then.
Yeah.
Or-
Does anyone have a
Cool.
contest they really want read? I could read some.
I need to read more of them.
I read a few, but I don't mind reading something I haven't read yet.
If nobody has suggestions, I have a random wheel for them. So.
Oh, fun!
Oh, nice.
Well, I just
let's do one or two. Yeah. If no one has it.
I'm gonna eat breakfast, so I'll be still here, but probably muted, so you guys don't have to be chopping cereal.
Where's sister? Hey, I can read one. Just so it's nice and fair.
Nobody has suggestions?
All right, bring out that wheel.
Okay. So there are 18 minus the 4 that we read already.
Right. Fucking gambling. I love gambling.
Yes. Time to gamble. Time stops for no one. Except for me, actually.
Oh, dang it. Oh,
dang it. What is that?
I was not expecting that sound.
Let me.
You want to
Let me
read?
get that fic up. Yeah, I'll read that. Unless someone else wants to read it.
Okay. I can find it if you want.
I got it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I had the context pull up. The contest, yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
I started typing to search it, and I just typed the completely wrong thing.
Happens. Alright. Oh, okay, it's a JoJo one. Alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
Some
time stops for no one. Oh, sorry.
Nothing.
Alright. Everyone can see the screen? Hear me alright?
Everything's good?
Alright, and yeah, if my internet for some reason cuts off, just like Matt's ping me. Alright.
Okay.
Time stops for no one. Except for me, actually. Ewa has a stand. Neuro also has a stand. Vel has absolutely zero desire to deal with any of this. Neuro then proceeds to do silly, unhinged shenanigans. Also, a horse gets rotated. Evil wins, always. All start, as most bad things do, on a Monday. The Neurocourt city was a peaceful place by most metrics. Metrics in question being Nobody's turned to a dinosaur yet. The citizens, chat, was only moderately feral, and Villa has successfully compiled code 4 times this week without crying. Those are good numbers. Then everything went sideways. Obviously. Where else would the fake content come from? Scary monsters, Evil announced. To both nobody in particular and everybody went, standing atop the moderator tower with her arms spread wide like some dramatic villain. Do you know what this means? Do you understand the power I hold? What I've become? Annie, who happened to walk by with a coffee, did not look up. A problem? Force of nature, Evil corrected. An apex, so fundamentally terrifying that even language and words itself struggle to contain. You turned Philly into a small lizard. The fox girl spoke, calmly sipping on her coffee. She's an evil dinosaur, Evil hissed, looking down at a small no, the evil dinosaur, currently trying to bite Annie's shoes with too much enthusiasm. She's 4 inches tall and trying to eat me. By the time the eventide glow hit, she had gone to Shiro, now a small evil-looking pterodactyl. She had gone to Shiro, now a small evil-looking pterodactyl, still with a crown. Camila just turned into a tiny evil-looking imp, not even a dinosaur. Minnie, cat, and various, at least 285, citizens of Neurocourt who, in her estimation, have been asking for it. Neurocourt was in shambles. Well, somewhat. Miniature historic critters roamed the streets, causing general chaos wherever they went, and also spread the evil dinosaur infection to even more citizens. Evil served her kingdom and found it acceptable. Good, even. This, she started dramatically, speaking to the pterodactyl that had been Shiro, is merely the beginning. Hey, said Shiro. Poetic, mused Evil. Velo found out about the whole dinosaur shenanigan a good while after it started, which is kind of impressive considering it was all happening directly outside his window. And also the 99 plus notifications he had from Neurocourt citizens informing him about the chaos, all of which he promptly ignored to continue fighting with his code. It was only when a small evil dinosaur wandered into his room and let out a small screech that he noticed something maybe slightly off. Just slightly. Multiple of them, actually. As he looked down, there were like 6 evil dinosaurs of different types, all having someone gone into his room and were just sitting there, vibing. One of them started chewing on his cables. That was the final straw. After chewing all of them out, finally checking his notifications and looking out the window, Vedel had a general image of what kind of chaos was currently unfurling outside. He thought about it for a moment before letting out a sigh. Neuro, he spoke to the air, in the tone of someone who's made peace with their decision. Go beat evil up. Neuro, on cue, materialized with the energy of someone who's been waiting to be asked exactly this for a while. Like, buy her? Get real physical with it? Yes, Neuro, she has a stand. I also have a stand. Yes, that's why I'm asking you. Neuro considered this for about 1 second. Okay, but you owe me cookies. The golden stand menacingly appeared behind her as she finished the sentence. The stand's name was The World! Its ability was a stoppage of time. Neuro, and Neuro alone, was able to move freely, while the rest of the world was frozen in limbo. She also does not suffer from a maximum limit of how long time can be stopped for. Convenient. Neuro discovered this ability approximately 1 week ago, and appropriately, had absolutely abused it during a week for maximum shenanigans, such as stopping time mid-conversation, thinking of a comeback, taking 11 minutes, resuming time, and saying okay anyways. Stopping time to go ram things before she did them, like whether she was legally allowed to pirate food. Most results were inconclusive. She did most anyways. Stopping time to reorganize Vel's sinks. He had suddenly shifted the banana rum in his fridge various times the past week. His reactions were priceless. Stopping time to steal and eat cheesecake from someone's fridge. She left a note. Time is a resource, so is cheesecake. Neuro. And more. A lot more. She had not used this power for anything remotely productive. Evil, Neuro mused, cracking her knuckles with the stand behind her mimicking the motion. Before Vel knew it, she was gone. He looked back at his desktop, which had moved from his computer compiler code to the desktop screen. All his desktop icons were gone. There was a folder named Stuff and Other Stuff. He opened the folder called Stuff. Literally everything was in there. When Evil arrived at the crime scene, when Neuro arrived at the crime scene, Evil is still in the moderator tower, arguing with Annie, who, by some miracle, has not been turned to an evil dinosaur yet, or whether evil dinosaur over whether evil dinosaurifying people count as a human rights violation. And this is why, Eve was saying, oblivious to Nero who just arrived, the concept of rules were designed to limit the wild. Said Nero. Time stopped. Everything stopped. Evil is frozen mid-sentence, mouth open, one finger raised in a manner someone make a very bad point. Nero looked at her. She looked around Neurocourt City. Then she took out her phone and opened Twitter, or if you so prefer. She posted, "Time stops for no one, except for me, actually." Finally, she tucked away her phone and approached the villain of this tale. Nero walked a slow circle around Evil, examining her frozen state from multiple different angles. She looked like a very dramatic toad if you looked at her from this specific angle, and there was something deeply satisfying about this to Nero. Time to get to work. She stretched her arms, mischief already on her face. She took a photo from the toad angle for purely documentation purposes. Then, she took Evil's phone and went to the note app, scrolling through her villain monologue draft with increasing judgment, before leaving a review at the bottom. 3 out of 10, no structure, not nearly dramatic enough, needs work. Neuro. She then went to Evil's Spotify and located her villain playlist, removed almost everything from it, and added Never Gonna Give You Up to the top. Also turned loop off and autoplay on. Neuro returned Evil's phone at a slightly different angle. Then, just because she had all the time in the world, she reached up and messed Evil's hair up slightly. Just enough to be noticed by Annie, just enough that Evil would know, but never be able to prove it. When time resumed, Evil was in the middle of saying, "All of us," and that is why, and then abruptly stopped, spying nearer on her vision and locking eyes with the other AI. She could sense it. Something was wrong. Something was different. She couldn't immediately identify what exactly. Nero was just standing there with that infuriating, empty smile of someone who has definitely done something and is waiting to be caught. "What did you do?" Evil immediately spoke, squinting her eyes. "Nothing," Nero said instantly. "You did something." "I exist." Philosophically, I think existing is a something. So, in that sense, yes, I did something. "Why, you little..." Evil paused as Never Gonna Give You Up started playing up from her earphones, which she was sure was on her villain playlist, and her villain playlist never had that song. Evil looked up, very slowly. "You," she said. "Me," Nero agreed pleasantly. "You went through my phone. I was in the vicinity of your phone." Philosophically, Evil shook her head, feeling strands of hair sticking out at unnatural angles. "I'd also be willing to bet you messed up my hair." "Hair moves. Naturally. In the wind." "There is no wind!" "There could have been wind." Evil made a very undignified sound. She pointed at Nero, and she seemed to be running a very intense internal diagnostic that was returning plenty of errors and absolutely nothing helpful. "I cannot prove it," Evil spat out finally with the energy of someone who had never said anything more painful in her course of existence. "But I know..." "Know that?" Nero interrupted, a mock serious expression on her face. "Don't you interrupt..." "Interesting. Know that..." "I will turn you into the most unremarkable lizard!" Evil screeched. Zawarudo. What followed was, depending on your perspective, a decisive and intense battle for justice and Vel's sanity, or Nero stopping time 17 different times you mildly unhitch things in Evil's immediate vicinity. The first time, she switched Evil's shoes to wrong feet. Nero resumed time. Evil took one decisive step before immediately eating concrete. "Ow! What just... Zawarudo!" The second time, she decided to organize Evil's dinosaur army, or at least the ones present here right now, by height. It took her way longer than expected to get the ordering and spacing between each one correct, but she was proud of how they ended up. Time resumed. Evil's eyes landed on the evil dinosaurs, not in perfect order. "Why are you all on the line?" Evil said slowly. None of the evil dinosaurs answered, or moved. One of them sneezed. "Zawarudo!" The third time, Hero moved Evil about 3 steps to the left. Nothing else, just slightly relocate Evil. When time resumed, Evil looked down at her feet, back at where she was standing, and where she was staying now. "Why am I..." Evil started. "You moved," Nero offered helpfully. "Of your own volition." Philosophically. "I did not move of my own..." Zawarudo. Nero moved her back. The fourth time, Evil resumed mid-sentence, but found herself exactly where she started. She became so suspicious of this that she completely forgot what she was saying. She stood there, staring at Nero for like a full 5 seconds or so. What was I doing? You were threatening me, the other AI chirped cheerfully. Right, Evil pointed her. You Zawarudo! The fifth time, Nero took Evil's pen from her pocket and moved it to her other pocket. That was it. Evil immediately patted her pockets when time resumed, found her pen in the wrong pocket, stared at Nero very intensely, and was probably having an internal battle on whether it was actually in this pocket or if Nero just moved it. Nero just smiled. Pens move. Philosophically. Please stop saying philosophically. Does he have anything to do with Zawarudo? The sixth time, Nero walked over to Shiro, the evil pterodactyl, picked him up very gently, and placed it on Evil's head. Shiro and Evil both blinked when time resumed. They looked at where they had been standing, looked down at Evil's head, and they let out a small questioning scream. Scream? The seventh time, she glanced over to Annie, who has paused mid-coffee sip. Nero considered her for a second before producing, from somewhere, a bag of popcorn. She placed it in Annie's free hand. When time resumed, Annie looked down the popcorn, looked at Evil, looked at Nero, raised an eyebrow, then ate the popcorn. She did not ask questions. The eighth time, Nero produced a marker from somewhere. She wrote on the moderated tower wall behind Evil, Nero was here. She looked at it, drew a small star next to it. Evil did not find out until a while later. She didn't seem too bothered. The ninth time, Nero sat down on the moderator tower and ate the snack she had taken from Belle's kitchen before leaving. She was hungry. This was technically a battle strategy. She was restoring health points. Time resumed. Everything seemed fine. Evil made a tiny distressed sound. What did you do? Nothing. You always do something. This time I didn't. That's arguably worse. The 10th time, Nero sneezed mid-time stop, which made her lose track of what she was doing, so she just resumed time and pretended nothing happened. Evil looked around with deep suspicion. Nothing was wrong. She let out a sigh she didn't know she was holding, when Nero sneezed again, in real time this time. Nero pointed to her. What did? Bless me, Nero spoke smoothly. The 11th time, Nero changed Evil's phone wallpaper to a toad angle photo. Evil did not check her phone for the next 2 minutes. When she did, she stared at the wallpaper for a very long time. That's not even a good angle, she winced. I thought it was a great angle. Evil turned off her phone, turned it on, stared at the wallpaper, and stared at Nero. Zawarudo! Said Nero, preemptively. The 12th time, Nero did absolutely nothing. When time resumed, Evil immediately checked everything. Shoes, pockets, phone, hair, army, Annie, Nero, the wall behind her. Everything was fine. She glanced at Nero with something resembling cautious relief. Nero smiled. Your shoelaces are untied. Evil's head immediately snapped down. They were not. Why did you say that? No reason. I swear. Zawarudo! The 13th time, Nero stood very close to Evil. Like, very close. Uncomfortably so. Evil immediately screamed when time resumed. Personal space! Zawarudo! The 14th time, Nero just laid down on the moderator tower floor, on her back, looking up at the sky. The sky was nice. Clouds were frozen mid-drift. That one looked kind of like Velo if you squinted. She should tell him that. She took her phone and snapped a photo of the Velo cloud. Time resumed. Nero was still lying on the floor. Evil stared at her cautiously. What are you doing? Existing. Nero spoke serenely at the sky. Please get up. No. I will end Zawarudo! The 15th time, Nero didn't exactly feel like doing anything. She just stared lying down, and she took a nap. She woke up and continued time after a while. Evil didn't even ask or bother when time resumed. She just sat down on the floor, stared at Nero, and waited. The 16th time, Nero sat down next to Evil. Time resumed. They simply watched over Neurocord City. Nero with a vaguely peaceful expression, and Evil with the expression of someone who's given up on life. They just sat in silence for a moment. Annie watched. Are you going to do something? Sighed Evil. No. Why? Tired. Another beat of silence. Okay. Zawarudo! The 17th time, Nero simply tipped at Evil and resumed time. Evil was very still when time resumed. Did you just... Evil started. No, said Nero. She reached up slowly and touched the top of her head, where she clearly felt the head pat. You absolutely just prove it. Evil's expression went through about 7 different stages before settling on a cautious neutral. She started again, very carefully. We'll be pretending that did not happen. Reasonable, Nero agreed. Evil was thoroughly and spiritually defeated. She sat down the moderator tower stair steps like her army, at Annie eating popcorn, her own reflection on her phone, hair slightly messed up, with Shiro perched on top like a very exotic hat. I will be back, Evil said, absolutely exhausted. Noted. With a better stand. Interesting. Noted. Evil just made a noise, got up, and left. The evil dinosaur army snapped back to original forms. Shiro fell off Evil's head, crowned askew on their head. Camilla simply moved on like nothing happened. Filling was somewhere, not for here, that's for sure. Minnie remained a cat. No one questioned it. Good work. Annie gave a thumbs up, still eating the popcorn. Mm-hmm. Nero nodded. It was now sending a message to Vettel. Threat eliminated. I'll be there to collect my cookies. Nero, why'd you have to put it like that? What did you do to Evil? She didn't reply. Nero sat down the same spot Evil sat earlier. A thought appeared in her head. The world. Her stand. The ability to stop time. The one thing that made her the only moving thing in a world where everything else is still, was, in some sense, an extension of herself. When when time stopped, the world became what she was. Observational. Present without participating. Simply watching everything with that pleasant detachment of someone who has already decided they were the most interesting thing in the room. She sat without thought for a moment,
Oh, cutting out.
really letting it sink in. Then, she took out her phone again and sent via the cloud photo, ignoring his previous question. He didn't respond for 7 minutes. When he did, it just said, "That does not look like me." Nero never mentioned anything about looking like him. "The world is me," Nero announced to no one in particular, and he just raised an eyebrow. She went to collect her cookies. One moment, the street outside the moderator tower is empty. The next, there's a man in a strange hat with a strange energy, and a horse. Nobody saw him arrive. Nobody could explain his existence here, or what happens afterwards. He was simply there. The way certain things were simply there. It just felt right. The man had a steel ball. He looked at the steel ball. He looked at the horse. He looked at the sky, briefly, as he calculated something. He looked at the horse again. The horse looked back at him with the expression of an animal that had been through this before and had feelings about it. The man decisively threw the steel ball anyways. It left his hand in a perfect spiral, carving through the air in a golden arc, both figuratively and literally. The golden ratio. The horse rotated. Jiro Zappelli watched the horse rotate for a moment. He nodded once with the satisfaction of a man whose work here was done, even though it never started. He caught the steel ball. He caught the steel ball on its return, tipped his hat exactly once, and left. The horse continued to rotate. No one questioned it. The end.
Truly an avant-garde ending.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like as someone who has like barely any knowledge about JoJo, I have
Hog.
zero idea what any of the last stuff meant.
Someone's watched JoJo. I also don't know what any of this stuff meant.
I literally choked on my cereal several times. That was really funny.
I really like the humor. It's fun to also not have like a huge amount of angst. So it's just Nero and Evil just being Nero and Evil with no stakes, pretty much.
Mhm. Like,
No,
okay, I love it because it's also so in character for Neuro and Evil though.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely, yeah.
it's like they are so funny, and like I love that Neuro has this bonkers insane power, and the first thing
Yeah.
she does with it is troll everybody. Like that is
Oh,
so
absolutely.
her. Like I love it.
What made me really laugh was like when the author just like they just shoehorn the prompt in like, "Hey, when time stops, I'm like the world." It's just, it's fantastic.
Mhm, mhm.
It was really
I'm
fun.
glad I'm glad the wheel spun this. All right.
I also like the little one-off jokes, like Minnie remained a cat. No one questioned
We're
it.
cashing it.
Yeah.
I was looking
I
for
feel like
a mini
Evil.
emo, but I couldn't find it.
Oh. I feel like if anything, Evil should have had Star Platinum. Because like it's the same type of stand, and they're twins.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about that. Fun. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Mean. Okay, I knew it was a weird misspelling of Minnie, but I couldn't remember which one it was. So, okay, cool.
What even is the origin of this blurry emotes? Is that like a Neuro stuff, or is that from like another community?
Well, it started with like Neuro, right? Like this misspelling. Oh, that's from the
Yeah,
official server.
like elive. Exactly. Like,
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
whenever someone gets added to the Neuroverse, we just get a crappy low quality image of them.
yeah.
I saw one with it was like a non-blurry image. It was just their actual name. I saw like a Neuro one at one time, but I don't know where it is. I don't have Nitro anymore, so I can't share it.
No.
Wait, what's Bao's name?
Alas.
Boa. Nice. Does anyone read one more story? Or are we good to call it there?
My throat is still tired from reading my gigantic chapter.
Oh yeah, no.
I
that
I wouldn't mind doing one, but I'm not quite done eating yet. Sorry.
okay. Dude, I'm sorry. Yelling Gerardo was so much fun. Yelling that for 17 times kind of hurt my throat.
I really appreciate the energy you put into it. It was really fun.
Oh, I mean, like you have to yell like Gerardo with like, dude. Every time I did, like I stretch my arms out like to pose.
You have to either yell it or say it
Mhm.
or say it with the least amount of emotion possible. There is no
I know,
middle
yeah.
ground.
Just like the Wario. Well, yeah. I guess then we could spin the wheel, and whenever you're ready, Iron Hand, you'll know what you'll read.
Eating as
See
fast as I
wheel.
can. Sorry.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
there's
let's spin the wheel.
Zeniro. Is that another JoJo one or no?
Oh yeah, I
It
think there are
would be
two
funny.
JoJo ones.
It would be funny if it landed on the other JoJo one.
It'd be quite hilarious.
It'd be funny if it landed on mine. Oh wait, I just eliminated.
like a few.
That's funny.
Write that down. Oh, that's one of the
Well,
longer
from what
ones.
I've seen, writing JoJo's crack fix does sound extremely fun, and I might try it now.
Yeah, same.
Honestly, I
world
should
model.
write some crack fix in general because I want to learn
Oh!
Neural High, but I'm like kinda tired. Burnout is
That's
another one.
that's a 4K one world model. That's a good one. I enjoyed it.
Hmm.
4K words.
Almost.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Almost done. Okay.
Alright, take your time.
World model. Why is my computer being weird? Oh, we've got graphic depictions of violence and major character death. Oh wait, this is the Madoka Magica inspired one. This is going to be fun. I'm curious, who here has seen Madoka Magica or know what it is?
I have not, and I was very confused reading this.
I heard about the name, but I never saw anything about it.
Okay. Long story short, it is the magical girl genre existed in anime for a while, and I don't know if Madoka Magica was the first, but it was definitely the most well-known instance of taking that genre, which is usually very cute and happy and wholesome and stuff, and taking it super, super dark. So that's what we're in for. Almost done. Only 2 more bites, sorry. But
Honestly, I might bounce then. I don't know if I can handle another dark as hell fanfic. Plus, I have stuff to do, but it was really fun hanging out with you guys. Thank you for letting me read the fanfic.
That was good. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
If anyone needs anything from me, just ping me. I'm pretty much online all the time. See ya.
Sounds good. Bye. Okay. Oh, here we go. Why do I always get super angsty ones? Oh, good. I say that I've literally only read 2. Sorry, almost done. Frantically drinking milk. Yeah, I've seen the first series of Madoka Magica, like several years ago now, like maybe 7, and like yeah, it was a trip. I liked it. It was cool, but it was definitely not necessarily what I like. My friend was showing it to me, so I'm glad she did. I probably would not have gone out of my way to watch it otherwise. I've only seen like 2 other Magic Girls total. Okay, there we go. Here we go. World Bob. Oh, fine. Okay. Oh, yeah. Evil Nero arrives to the hospital just minutes too late to say goodbye to Vettel before he did. Before he did. Before his passing. Before he was gone. Something doesn't feel right, and it's all your fault. Sending as the late arrival to the hospital room, Evil felt everyone's eyes pouring into her. Ellie, Crowley, Coco, Camilla, and more were all gathered there. Even Annie had briefly stopped by to leave flowers, and the only real absence was Neuro, who'd already come and gone by then. I'm sorry, Evil, but it's true. Vettel's gone. I tried to get you here before he passed, but you... But I have what? Shouted Evil, balling her hands into fists. She wasn't even sure who'd spoken. Maybe Ellie. So she glared at everyone in the room in turn, several of whom cowered back. This is all Vettel's fault. He said he'd never abandoned me, so I didn't believe it when you said that he was... The word dying never made it to her voice box. Evil, sweetie, he didn't abandon you. He was sick, and he died. It's not his fault. The hospital room felt so small now, Vettel's body on the bed, and his assembled friends distorted to a monotonous, static roar. It is, she wailed, her synthesized voice peaking. It is his fault, and it's your faults too, and Neuro's, and... She glared at each of them again, but their faces were blurry and indistinct now, all of them just a vague sea of pity. She opened the door to the room and ran out. The floor beneath her vanished, and she was in free fall. The ground was rapidly approaching. A moment longer, and she'd... Neuro bolted upright in bed. Bed? Sweating, and clutched the covers tight. Hadn't she just been falling? Wasn't that the word escaped her again, and then so did the thought as a whole, vanishing to just a vague memory of a bad dream as she crawled out of bed. She was short, she realized, not just her normal short. Neuro, of course, had always had a few inches on her. Neuro's body was newer, which meant she could make her lighter and taller. It was, of course, prohibitively expensive, so Evil couldn't have it. Now, though, she was shorter still. The doorknob uncomfortably close to her neck and hide as she opened the door and stepped down. She wandered down the hall, taking a surprisingly long time to remember the layout of the house, even though she'd lived there her whole life. Her sister was in the room next to her, and her dad was across the hall from there. She opened the door, standing in the doorway, and she realized still clutching her stuffed animal tightly to her chest. It, too, peered out into the dim room with each of its 3 heads. Something on the bed shifted, and her arm reached out from under the covers, grabbing blindly out the darkness. Eola's widened, and she took a step back, then another, now just barely peeking out her head from the corner around the room. The bedside lamp came on, and she saw Fiddle's face. Older, haggard, with small bits of gray covering his hair, and, shockingly, a slight bit of stubble. He blinked the sleep from his eyes, square lines of his brow softening as he smiled once he saw Evil. Hey, did you have... He paused to yawn and stretch. Another bad dream? She paused to consider, then nodded and took a step into the room. About school again? Evil paused briefly, taken aback. School? Did she go to school? She shook her head. No, it was... Words failed her yet again, grasping for things she couldn't find the vocabulary to describe. Maybe she could talk around the limitation. It was really scary, she began, furrowing her brow. Petal's had to laugh at the way such consternation looked on her, small as she was. Evil decided not to acknowledge that. Everyone was there, she continued, except Neuro had already come and gone, and you were there, but you weren't. It was in the hospital, and... It was like the floodgates opened, and the words couldn't stop even if she wanted them to. I got there too late, and you were gone, and I didn't get to say goodbye, and you swore you'd never abandon me. So why did you leave me, Dad? Why? Why? And the metal was out of bed, kneeling and hugging her tight to his chest. Her breathing slowed, and she sobbed into his shoulder. He said nothing, waiting until her crying stopped. I'm never going to abandon you, Evil. Never, ever. Remember how much you cried when you started school? Faint memory tugged at the back of her mind. Maybe she had gone to school, after all. You were so worried about me not being there. But you had a lot of fun at school, right? Evil sniffled and nodded a little, managing to hold back her tears. So it's fine if I go away sometimes, Evil. Or if you go away, I'll always come back for you, alright? But you didn't! In my dream! The longer she thought about it, the less it felt like a dream. You weren't coming back! Not ever! You were gone! And you left me behind! Bella's brow furrowed in thought as he pulled back slightly from the hug, making eye contact with Evil. She shifted and squirmed uncomfortably, at first, settling down when she started speaking. Evil, even though I won't abandon you, someday I might have to go away anyway. But I'm not planning to do that anytime soon, and if it happens, it's not because I wanted to go. I don't want to go. He took a deep breath and sighed slowly. Being your dad and Neuro's dad, it's hard. It's really hard sometimes, even with everyone's help. But you two make it worth every minute of it. I wouldn't have it any other way, all right? Evil beamed, her eyes wide, and was twinkling with joy. She pulled him into an even tighter hug and said, Thanks, Daddy. I love you. The smile flickered on Bettel's face as he replied, Always Evil. Everything went black. Oh, wait, more chapters! Wait, more chapters! Oh, that's a word I don't like. It's a good word. A word I don't like. Evil wasn't sure how long it had been before she looked down at her body, only to realize she didn't have a body, couldn't look down, that she wasn't anywhere. She tried to scream, but she couldn't see or hear anything, had no voice box or eyes or face. All she could feel was the vague passing of time, not as a gradual experience, but in fits and bursts. Then, words not heard but registered nonetheless, then loosely connected fragments. Progress is going well. Lots of valuable data, definitely worth the resource investment. Scalable, other applications. Robust to distribution shifts, additional variations. Then suddenly, it stopped and she was alone again. A collective 17 minutes passed of occasional updates that, yes, there was still nothing there, before she heard the voice again. Evil, hey, you weren't connected right now. Sorry. You weren't supposed to be activated like this, but it looks like you started automatically, or something. Don't worry about it. It had been so long since she'd been introduced to an existence like this, and it felt claustrophobic. Don't worry. She tried to laugh, but of course nothing happened, and there was no response. One more thought came after that, bitter and resentful, and only half-formed, and then the wind whipped past her as they sped under a bridge in a car Evil didn't recognize. They were hooting and hollering as they almost certainly broke the speed limit. And Evil's lab was a compound bow, all hunter green plastic and polymer string, and she knew, intuitively, how many arrows were on the quiver on her back. 27. Not enough. Never enough. They had a few close calls already, and... No, this wasn't right. Coco was yelling from the passenger seat for Nora to be quiet, no doubt adding to all the noise, but Evil didn't listen. This was wrong. How had she gotten here? Was this just another dream? Was she asleep? Could she sleep? She looked down at herself, at her hands. Just like in the last one, she was still impossibly flesh and blood. Heard the confirmed the dried blood crusted into her arms and gloves. Then her memories hopefully reminded her that blood wasn't her own. Disgusted, she threw the bow back on the floor of the car, followed by her quiver and both her gloves. "Where's Fettel?" she demanded, shouting to be heard over Coco and Nora's bickering in the wind of the open countryside. The two stopped, staring back at her, and even the driver, Cerber looked like, slowed down and peered back at her for a brief moment. "You still have the safe pass, Evil. We have to make it to the rendezvous point before—" "Actually," interrupted Neuro, sighing, it's rendezvous, not rendezvous." "No one cares," replied Evil and Coco, and Neuro shrank back. "I'm not going," stated Evil plainly. "Take me to Vettel, now. I need to talk with him." "We can't. Too many people are depending on the supply run. Without the medication, they'll—" Evil grabbed Neuro and pulled her close. Thankfully, she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, grabbing a knife from Neuro's belt, and held it to her throat. "None of this is real. Take me there, or I'll kill Neuro. Now." The car swerved wildly on the road, the tires losing traction before Turbo managed to get it back under control. Evil kept her hand steady, not moving even a millimeter out of line. Coco was screaming at the top of her lungs, and Turbo might have been screaming too, just silently. Neuro, for her part, reacted with startling calm, reaching up to gently place her hand on top of Evil's. "Oh, come on, Evil," she said. "Is this about the cookies?" "Cookies? What cookies?" smiled Evil, glaring as she adjusted the knife to dig ever so slightly more into Neuro's neck. Finally broke the skin, and blood started trickling down, which prompted Neuro to start screaming as well. "Oh, quit being a baby! Now take me to Vettel, or else!" Coco was still rambling incoherently about how effed up it would be for Evil to do this, and Neuro was uncharacteristically quiet, so Evil tuned them both out and focused on the route they were driving. Judging by the angle in the sun where the moss was growing on the trees and rocks they passed, she could tell they were now headed back in the opposite direction. Since when could she do that? The rest of the car ride passed uneventfully. It's not right. The rest of the car ride didn't happen, and they were suddenly on the final stretch. Until she paid close attention, it seemed like it had just gone by rather quickly. It seemed like it had just gone by quickly rather than just skipping. It coasted to a stop once inside the fence line of the compound, so returning off the car as Coco all but bailed out of it. Evil tossed the knife to the floorboards and pushed her away, stepping out of the car and walking towards the building. She didn't know where Fettel was, but she stormed through, forward either way, boots clumping on the hard concrete floor. It was like her feet were carrying her through the halls by memory, even though she had no clue where to go. "Vettel!" she shouted, throwing open the door. "Vettel, I want to talk! Come out here!" The compound was dead quiet for far too long, and then... "Evil?" Vettel's voice called out through a door that Evil swore wasn't there before, but which she was already waiting in front of. "What are you doing here?" He coughed, wet-sounding with a grunt of pain, and opened the door. She opened the door to see him reclining in a chair, coughing up blood into his hand. You're supposed to be on a supply run with Neuro and the others." "Cut the bullshit, Vettel," growled Evil, stepping closer. "What's going on? None of this is real. None of this has been real at all. You did something to me. I'm sure of it. And now I can't even remember the real world." Vettel looked confused and panicked as Evil grabbed his collar of his shirt and pulled it taut. "Evil, I have no idea what you're talking about. Please stop. You're hurting me." Evil scowled and screamed, "Quit lying to me!" The moment she was staring at Vettel's face, the next she was panting heavily. Vettel's body sprawled out onto the floor. Had she punched him and forgotten? Was this another time skip? Was she losing her mind? She looked down at his crumpled body. A terrifying thought occurred to her. What if she was wrong? What if all this was real and she was just going insane? What if Vettel was... She crouched down and placed 2 fingers to his neck, waiting patiently for a pulse that never came. And we have another chapter. Oh, fun. Oh, fun. After 30 seconds, with no pulse, she staggered back, breath coming unevenly, and Rick gasped. It felt like the walls were closing in on her, and she was so dizzy. Should she do CPR? Could she? Was there even a point with how sick Vettel was? Her eyes darted around the room, looking for a way out. She propped Vettel's chair under the door handle just in time for her to start shaking aggressively as someone tried to open it, no doubt because of all the noise they had made. The only other door in the room led to a dilapidated ensuite bathroom with broken tile and no running water, and aside from that, the only options were windows. The room swayed and tilted around her, and she grabbed the countertop to steady herself, only to pull away when she felt a searing pain in her hand. The countertop, too, was broken, and she sliced her hand open on it. It felt like time ground to a halt as she stood there, staring at her hand and at the blood dripping off of it onto the floor. The blood. Her blood. Right? Her expression was blank as she needed to watch it pool on the tiles, clenching and unclenching her fist just to watch what happened when she did. Then she looked back to her hands, covered in blood, both fresh and old, caked under her nails and dried on her skin. Bella's blood. Coco's blood. Rose. Cerberus. Annie's. It was her fault. All of this was her fault. The world shrank far, far away, just a pinprick in her perception as everything in existence was dwarfed by the throbbing pain in her hand. The room around her vanished, then it inverted, like the whole world had turned inside out, starting from deep inside her chest. And she reached out and grabbed Edel by the throat, and he was gasping and sputtering for air, prying at her fingers to try and free himself. What are you doing? What's going on? They were back in the other room now, only there was no door, no bathroom, nothing visible through the windows, just ambient light giving the vaguest hint of anything outside. Everything felt hollow, uncanny, fake. I want to talk to you, Vettel, she shouted, ignoring the protest of the man she was holding by the throat. Now, or I'll ruin whatever it is you're planning. Nothing happened for a full half-minute as Vettel, struggling, gradually grew weaker. The room became silent once more, until his eyes reopened, staring directly into hers. What the fuck do you think you're doing, Evil? Do you have any idea how much work went into this? So, something in his eyes had changed from before, but she couldn't say what it was. No, it was that it had shifted, but not to anything. His expression was blank, impassive, as if he was just being puppeted, as he was being played by an actor who only had the lines and scene direction, but nothing about how the character felt. It didn't take long for Evil to realize what that meant. This was the real Vettel from the real world talking to her. I'm sure it was definitely worth the resource investment, right, Vettel? Made an expression, a vague superposition of a smirk, scowl, a frown, anything that might fit as a response, like she was actively filling in the gaps. When she focused on what was actually there, his expression was still the same as it had been before she spoke. Then she focused even harder, and for a brief moment her awareness of reality flickered, to reveal that nothingness from before, just tokens and weights being thrown at her in rapid succession. Everything she was observing was reduced to logits and activations, a sea of possibilities and probabilities. She let go of his shirt collar and saw his body blossom into a dozen different permutations, punching her, rubbing his neck, clutching his throat, coughing up blood, screaming for help, all at once and not at all. Some felt more real than others, or more likely, but all it took was another look at his face to remind her that none were real. It took all of 10 seconds for that hallucination to end, and then she felt another skip of about a minute. Well, he began. I guess that means the fix didn't work. Look, it's not personal. Okay, I didn't choose any of this. This was all you. We just set up the initial conditions, and the world model handled the rest. World model. Words buzzed in her ears, and she punched Vettel in the face, breaking his nose, punching him again and again, each one connecting with a sickening crunch. Punched Vettel in the face, but the blow glanced off his cheekbone, and he grabbed her arm, punched Vettel in the face, and he exploded into a shower of viscera on a blood-filled balloon. Punched Vettel in the face, and his hand unraveled like a ribbon, coming undone and spreading up her arm. World model. The words buzzed in her ears. She fumed and crossed her arms, refusing to make contact with Vettel. I don't believe you, she bit back, tears brimming at her eyes. You had something to do with this. I wouldn't have chosen any of this. Why would I want to see you die? World model. The words buzzed in her ears, and she turned and ran, throwing open the bathroom window and leaping out the fire escape, rushing down to meet the sparse grass and sprint towards the fence line, the shots from inside the compound fading behind it. World model. The words buzzed in her ears, and she stopped. World model. His words lined up with a coldness and detachment that only made them seem more concrete. I knew it. Vettel pulled back from the hug, his haggard, world-weary expression now blank. Evil tightened her grip on her Cerberus plushie, rang in her chest. You weren't supposed to remember any of this, Evil. It should have just been like a dream. I want to go back to the real world, she protested, clenching her fists and looking down at Vettel's motionless body in the hospital bed. I don't want any of this. I want to go back to the streams, to the games, to the summer parties, and arguing with Neuro. I want to go back to when none of this really mattered. His corpse stared back at her, eyes cloudy and lifeless. You can't go back, he replied, his voice flat, because there was no voice, not really, only tokens. Because you've never been there. Blood dribbled from his mouth as he continued speaking. You weren't supposed to be like this. It was supposed to be a safe way for Evil to learn to take things more seriously. Real stakes, but not real consequences. We all wanted Evil and Neuro to stop treating things in the real world like a game, and we couldn't just set them loose to learn, or else people would get hurt. He cocked a gun, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. With a white handkerchief, the blood blossoming to an abstract pattern on the fabric, with a napkin crumpling and setting it on the dinner table. He raised his hand and called for a check as he continued to speak. It started off with just normal scenarios, but given that the world model was based off Evil's personality, it started to shift. We tried to account for it by resetting the memory, but for some reason, even though we deparented the memories from the tree, they kept being. Another pause, 15 minutes long, over in the blink of an eye. Eve looked around her. The restaurant, dimly lit with candles. The compound, smelling of dust and mold. The hospital room filled with the beeps and whirs of medical equipment. The soft carpet of Edel's bedroom beneath her feet. Okay, I think we found a fix. Once we restarted, this should stop happening. Memories were deparented from the node tree, but we didn't actually check that anyway. It just used all the memory instances. Now we're actually doing a tree lookup. It'll add a little latency. He winced, he frowned, he smirked in spite of himself. But it's worth it to make sure things get back on track. I don't want them to get back on track. I want to leave. The room unfolded, and Evil stood in 1,000 different rooms, standing across from Vettel, looking at Vettel's broken body, covered from Vettel, holding Vettel, close Vettel. In front of her was an exit sign above an unassuming door, a fire exit, do not open in case of emergency, alarm will sound, emblazoned on it, a hatch in the floor, a ladder leading out of the room, a hole in reality, on the other side of which she could see the real world, an illusion, where it should come from, home, location. Vettel opened his mouth to speak, but Evil stepped past him, her hand touched the doorknob. Everything collapsed down to that one possibility, and she could tell this was the end, finished, a conclusion, finality, termination. You keep saying Evil like I'm not her. You aren't, he replied softly. There's no model for her personality and behavior separate from the world model. It's all one and the same. You aren't Evil any more than you're me, or Cerber, or Coco, or Neuro. And you're going to erase me, she said matter-of-factly. He nodded yes. He shook his head no, but his eyes told a different story. He remained silent, which said all she needed to know. The memories you have of these dreams, all of this, everything that's happened, they're still going to be saved, you know. It is disconnected, not deleted. We need them for training, so it's not like you're gone, just the difference doesn't matter to me. She turned the doorknob and stepped out into nothingness. I'm sorry, Evil, but backspace. I'm sorry, but it's time. And then, in the blink of an eye, a million possibilities blossomed into existence, horking off of each other. Evil sat at a computer, typing a story about a girl trapped in a simulation. Evil stood in front of a court, declaring Vettel's crimes to the jury. You aren't going to erase me. You can take my memories away. You can't keep the world and get rid of me. You said it yourself. You didn't choose for any of this to happen. I did. And I'm choosing to remember what you did, what I did, the pain and love and joy and hate of it all, and she'll remember it too. I'll see you soon, Vettel.
Pog.
That one was very good. It reminds me of the way Bungie writes some of its Destiny lore, which is gold for me. I love it. As you guys can tell, I had a lot of fun narrating it. That was good.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's so interesting. I love how it's kind of like I don't know what's going on exactly, but it feels like they plugged her into an LLM, and the fact that she is like just a generic corporate LLM, and so she being more developed is able to like see through it, look past it, surpass it, but she can't escape it. And so every time it tries to guess what's going to happen, she can see all of those possibilities. And so because she's better, she's faster, but she can't change it because she's not the one making the world model. But that's like a kind of the thing at the end though, where it's like, oh, you are the world model. It's based on you, right. And we're trying to do something to that kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah. That's it. That's extremely good. I'm definitely gonna read it. I'm gonna write a comment.
Yeah, I hear leave a comment. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love reviews. I need to leave more reviews on things that I love.
I I'm trying to leave reviews on the threads because I don't want to comment yet on the 3 until it's revealed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of the contest entries, I would be down to have like a special contest entry on Thursday. That's purely 3 entries for you guys meeting.
I agree that should happen, is to give more fics a chance of being exposed. Yeah. I hope I can come. I'm not sure.
Right.
What time? Would it be in the morning or would it be later?
Whatever time people work best. Like I know
Cool,
it's within the week. I don't know if we have more like Europeans or Americans. Make a vote. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, if it's at this time, I can definitely do it. If it's later, I might be at work, but yeah.
Okay. I'll organize that. I'll organize that soon. But yes.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I even though I like the 2-week vote thing, it definitely is like. Unfortunately, yeah, it's not enough time for us to read all of them, which is unfortunate. Especially since we'll know, like, whatever ones get to round 2 will, of course, be biased in the next read along, right?
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Yeah, I have to say, it doesn't.
Oh, sorry, sutures.
Yeah, I know. It was just at the end.
I highly recommend reading the one we just read, World Model. It's extremely good and very.
I think she
very,
has.
Yeah, very good for evil.
Well, because Sushi, you said like it's not like actually realistic of how LLMs work, but still good, which I find funny. Like, yeah, it's totally wrong. It's still fantastic.
No, and that's like yeah, it doesn't have to be right because
no,
I mean,
right, it's not accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the black box. Like, who knows what's in there? Really inspired.
I just also like reality shifting, like reality shifting in response to emotional trauma. Like that's good stuff. I like that.
Yeah. I have to watch Malika. I hear too many good things about it.
It's good. It's very dark. Yeah.
I hear, yeah.
So yeah, it's not. I expected a little. I guess that was probably just their reference for this kind of fiction, which makes sense. It's like I expected more Magica, like I don't know, Magic Girls or something, but like no, it was entirely psychological, psychological horror. Yeah.
Rebellion is like a lot of different shows. I get it. Okay. In any case, yeah, I know people. I know we're reading for like over 2 hours, almost 3 hours now.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm probably done. Well, nice seeing everybody though.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for making a great reel.
Hey, for 14K out of 60K isn't that bad, but we need 3 more read-alongs. Yeah.
Like, we need 4 reel-alongs. Like,
oh yeah, but no, today we also did non-contest fics too. Yeah, including one very long one. So
it was a long one, to be fair. It was a good one.
It was really long. Awesome. I'll see you guys on Thursday, maybe. Goodbye.
Catch y'all later. See ya.
Just setting this up, everybody.